Tonight's episode of the Tuesday Night Cigar Club is brought to you by Drew Estate. Come experience the rebirth of cigars at www.drewestate.com and download the free Drew Diplomat smartphone app today to discover nearby retailers, RSVP to special events, redeem points to win exclusive Drew Estate merchandise, and much, much more.
This might be a big mistake, but I'm having too much fun to wait. Flag her down when she comes back by. That one's yours and this one's mine. Bring another round. Bring another round. Bring another round. Bring another round. Bring another round.
Here's the suckles.
Good evening, brothers and sisters of the Leaf. Coming to you live once again from RoMa Craft headquarters in Austin, Texas, it's the Tuesday Night Cigar Club podcast. Tonight, the boys sit down with Skip Martin to discuss all things cigar, beer, and the new Martin Scorsese opus, The Irishman. It's sure to be a kick-ass conversation, folks, so sit back, folks. Matt, you got too many folks in here. Conversation, folks, so sit back, folks. It's sure to be a kick-ass conversation, so sit back, folks, light 'em up, and enjoy the show.
Welcome, everyone. Tuesday Night Cigar Club, episode 108, live from RoMa Craft headquarters in Austin, Texas. I want to thank Skip Martin and Mike Rosales for joining us.
Hey, thanks a lot.
As always, me and Yax were talking on the way up here. What, about a week and a half, it's going to be the end of the decade. And I didn't even know what the decade was called. I had to Google it. Do you know what this last 10 years ago? Technically, they're supposed to be called the 2010s. And if you're Mr. Fancy Pants...
2000 and 2009 was the aughts.
Those were the aughts.
Yeah.
And if you're really fancy, they're called the 2010s. But I've never heard anybody say that, so have you?
No, I think once the millennials kind of started becoming relevant, it doesn't matter anymore.
It doesn't matter anymore?
I'm just waiting on the sedative that they put in my IV just to make it all go away.
Just kind of like De Niro at the end of the movie. Just sit there and wait for it all to go away.
Right.
But yeah, we were talking. It was like, the 80s have such an identity. When we think, you close your eyes, you just can name so many things that kind of wrap up the 80s, the 90s. I guess even the aughts. But what the hell, other than, social media and politics making everybody pissy and miserable, what the hell was the last 10 years about?
Absolutely nothing.
Right? Absolutely nothing. It's crazy. It's sad.
Things that make you go,
And then, to make it worse, what brought all this on, I was listening to the radio, Billboard magazine announced the top 5 best-selling songs of the, what did I call it, the 2010s. I'd only heard one of these songs, and I hadn't heard of 4 of the artists. My wife listens to Bruno Mars, so that's the only reason I knew that one.
Yeah.
Well, didn't the...
It's crazy.
What's the rap song with Billy Ray Cyrus?
Oh, the country song? I should know that.
Isn't that like the biggest all-time Billboard song?
Oh, the Old Road or whatever?
Yeah, that says everything.
Old Town Road? That's Billy Ray Cyrus? My kids sing that song.
Says everything.
Oh, I don't care who it's
So we're starting here, Matt, with the official welcoming drink of the RoMa Craft headquarters.
Okay.
It's a mixture between, it's basically, we call it the Bourbon Mike.
The Bourbon Mike.
Yeah. It's cold coffee.
Oh, that's good.
And we might have to ask Sean to come over and tell us what's in it.
Sean, run over
Do we
here.
want to give away the secret?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Trade
right.
secret?
Okay. All right.
So,
no one has a machine like that other than espresso.
Right. We told Sean that we had a good one at Fine Ash in Arizona, and Sean outdid it.
Here, Sean, jump in here. Let's know what's in this delicious.
So I won't give away the full recipe, but it's Buffalo Trace bourbon cream, with Nespresso caramel coffee. Top it off with a cold milk foam, and add a dark chocolate square to the top. A little ice. You try it on your own, but I won't tell you the ratios.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Very smart.
But I figured we probably, I know we're going to end
Thank you,
with
Sean.
coffee. Because I've been to this dance before with you guys.
Have we done this before?
I put some pretty serious beers on the table. Then Mike brought his bourbon collection. He's only got about 500 bottles going
It's
now.
just a smidge. It's just
It's just pretty impressive.
So between the two, you guys are going to be shit-faced. So instead of watching the movie and drinking and then recording the podcast,
Correct.
we figured we'd record the podcast first.
That makes sense.
And then while you guys sober up to a legal blood alcohol level, watch 3.5 hours of the movie.
I like it. Well, or sleep. Very good. The drink is delicious. Actually, when we visited and did a podcast live at Viaje headquarters, they had something very similar to this. But it's another. That's a story for
Was that
another.
a cubicle in the back of a
Another
law
day.
firm somewhere?
Oh, we're gonna leave them alone this time, Skip.
All right. Can we talk about Shoe Estate?
No, but we can talk about what's new. Or do you just want to get right to the controversial shit? What's new with RoMa Craft Tobac? What we're smoking right here is brand spanking new.
I think all four of the cigars you have today are all rare ones that kind of mostly you get here at the headquarters, or they were released in this year. Just so you know, all the bloggers know to put us on the top of their list.
Sure.
Because
But we're
as
gonna-
you
we're
know,
going to talk about the bloggers.
okay, yeah, as you know, I do my own list,
I do.
and how we fare on your list
I know.
depends on how you fare on our list. Really,
You and I kind of battled it out a little bit last year.
I didn't realize it meant so much to you, Kate, or I would have made you number one.
Don't mention the crying.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we're smoking the Baca. It's our new Cameroon cigar. This size is the anthropology size. It's called the Jengi. So it comes in boxes of 24, $11.40,
40 cents, yeah.
which is pretty pricey for one of our cigars. This is the Craft 2019. All five of the ones we have are a little bit different, I think. So these were released last year at Riverside Cigar Shop and Lounge.
We've been enjoying those. We got a box from Jeff, and yeah, they're smoking great.
Yeah. And this is the Neanderthal LH, which I think started coming out last month.
Mm-hmm.
It's our box-pressed Neanderthal. Pretty tight little package there. And then this is one of our new Grand Perfectos. I think we all have a different one. You have the Baca one, which is the most, the rarest one.
Hey, now.
I have the Cro-Magnon, which is the most common one. It's the first one we made.
Okay.
We have Neanderthal, Aquitaine, and
Wonderlust.
Wonderlust, which is Esteban's favorite. And then if we don't get through, I'm sure we'll probably get through all four of these waiting for De Niro to die.
I should go ahead and mention, folks, as we do every episode, we're going to be talking beer. We're going to obviously be talking about cigars, and we always do a movie. And tonight we're going to be talking about the movie everyone's talking about, The Irishman, the epic, in length at least, Netflix film from Martin Scorsese. So we're going to be getting to that in due time. So yeah, you guys have had a great year. Baca's been very well received. I'll be the first to admit it's the first one I've had, and I'm really enjoying it.
So this year we had Aquitaine Mastodon, Aquitaine Slobberknocker,
You know, goodness.
the Craft 2019, the Witchcraft 2019. Don Bosco was a project we did with Old Virginia earlier this year. The Baca, the two sizes we released, the Bantu and the Pygmy. The Neanderthal LH.
And that's just in the States.
Also, the Wonderlust Fiorella was released in Europe this year. Also, we released the Weaselitos this year.
Oh, this one came out.
So the Weaselitos,
This year.
and last year we did Cro-Magnon, Neanderthal, and Aquitaine, Ecuador Habano, Broadleaf, and Mexican and San Andreas. And this year we did the Matafina, Brazil Matafina, which is Wonderlust. We did the Baca, which is Africa Cameroon. And so we released those two this year.
Okay.
In really small quantities.
Okay. Yeah, they've been kind of hard to.
I think we have more coming. I think we have, like maybe 40 100 count boxes of each coming in about a month or so.
Okay.
Delay sells most of those back to the U.S., but I smoke those every day. I mean, they're little quick hitters.
Speaking of you smoking stuff, I brought you, a while back we had talked about getting together, and you said bring me whatever you're enjoying right now, unbanded, and let me take a stab at it. So we're sitting here before the show shooting the shit, and man, just kind of watching you break it down, studying the ash, studying the combustion, and you had you came close on a couple things.
This is kind of a low octane pussy cigar that goes with your normal pussy beer.
That's not what you were saying.
When you come to the headquarters, we're talking, we go 13, 14% ABV, right? So the beers we have tonight, what's our ABV range?
Going in, we've got.
If anybody goes back and watches some of the old episodes, we do high octane beer.
Yes, we do.
We set the standard.
Yes,
we have a high standard.
We do.
So,
well, you had mentioned it had some Cuban-esque qualities.
it has a lot of Cuban kind of characteristics on the retrohale, and a little bit on the dry draw. But I would say the quality is too high for it to be a Cuban cigar.
That makes sense.
Unless it was maybe like some high-end Bahiki or something I never smoked. And I think the wrappers, it's either Ecuador Sumatra or Ecuador Habano. I would guess Habano, but it's lighter in kind of the tooth.
Lower priming. Yeah.
So it's either a low priming Habano or it's Sumatra, Ecuador Sumatra.
Okay.
It's got a heavier binder. It's got a lot of Nicaraguan filler qualities, both in the color of the ash and also it's got jalapa in there. I can pick out jalapa like ginger and Chinese food.
Right.
So I would guess that it's made in Nicaragua because of the tobaccos, but there's not very many factors that make cigars like this rolling style with the cap and the really light. I mean, if you were to weigh this cigar, it's very light. This is a 6 3/4 by 54. I guess 7 by 54, but it's it probably weighs less than one of our cigars. It probably weighs 10 or 15% less than our 6 by 54, our cranium. So it has either low priming or it's a really open type of intubado type rolling bunching style.
Okay.
But
okay.
and only a couple of factors really roll cigars like that. Aganorsa or Hoya would be my guess.
Okay. Well, you want to smoke on a little more before I tell you, or you
So
want
give me the first of the 3 hints. If I already guessed, it doesn't count as one of my 3 hints.
All right.
So is it made in Nicaragua?
Yes.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Is it made at Hoya or Aganorsa?
No.
No. That's surprising. Because I don't know of any other factor that makes cigars like this.
What
All
if
right.
it's co-branded and they outsourced it to another factory?
No.
You wouldn't know that? Would you know that?
Yeah, I got an inside scoop on this.
Okay, so what factory is it made at? That's my first phone a friend.
Oveja Negra, or the.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Oveja Negra.
It is.
I would have never guessed that.
Well, it is not one of theirs. It is the Dissident Soapbox.
So it's one of Ben's.
It's one of
cigars.
Ben's.
I gotta tell you, man, it's really, really good. I mean, if you'd have told me that from the beginning, I would have had a whole different expectation. But I mean, it's good tobacco.
It surprised
good.
the hell out of me. I just.
Do you know what the wrapper is?
Yeah, I got all the specs for you.
Okay, tell me the specs.
It is Brazilian wrapper.
That's
But you got the Ecuadorian credits, an Ecuadorian binder,
ah.
and then Nicaraguan unspecified fillers.
So it's Matafina?
It's not Matafina.
I didn't just Brazilian. He didn't specify.
I mean, it could be Mata Norte but it's not Arapiraca. I don't know.
You nailed the Ecuadorian. You nailed the Nicaraguan fillers. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Tut, these are not yet available on Famous Smoke Shop, but if they were, what would our listeners be wise to do?
You would be wise to go to the website, click on the Famous Smoke Shop banner, and hit in TNCC 20
Oh, God.
for $20 off, $100 or more.
Were you guys giving
Is he
him-
already doing Pacino?
Were you guys
Okay.
giving him drinks before we got here?
It's
No,
called-
he said he wanted
He's
to
already
hold
got
off.
the irritable bowel syndrome.
Irritable
Yes.
bowel
No,
syndrome.
here's what I'll tell you. If you never smoked one of these, because I've smoked a couple of the cigars from Ben, and I thought they were good. This is the best one I've smoked.
It's
from-
by far my favorite.
Yeah, it's actually really surprisingly good.
Good. I hope you like it. This would have gotten.
I don't mean
awkward
surprising.
really fast
I
if you didn't.
don't mean surprising in the sense that all the James's cigars are good, but I would have never guessed James made this cigar
There you go.
because it's not like anything I've ever smoked from his factory.
Yeah, I think Ben's got an interesting palate, and the Soapbox, out of the 3 lines he released this year out of Dissident, the Soapbox by far.
But it's really odd to have a cigar made in a factory where you can't really guess the style of the factory. Like if you smoke a cigar from our factory, you kind of know it's from our factory. If someone tells you, it's not surprising because they all have the same kind of DNA, right?
Right.
Right.
But this is completely different than anything I've smoked from James.
Well, cool. I think
It's good.
I think Ben will appreciate that. All
This is-
right.
I told you if I was bullshitting with Julian in the Grand Havana room, I'd smoke this.
You did mention that.
Yeah.
That's good praise.
That's different than the cigar you gave me.
Moving on.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Because I'm sitting here going, well, based on what I know of the cigar he gave me and what he was talking about, I'm like, I don't think that's even close.
I'll bring you a soapbox on the
No.
for our football party.
You're no longer a guest.
For
You gotta
football
go now.
party.
That's
God
okay.
damn it.
All right.
Well, your cigar costs a lot more than that.
Oh, that's true. Booyah.
All right. Well, you know how we do whenever we sit down with you, Skip. If there's anything slightly controversial out there in the cigar industry, we're going to bring it up. For once, it doesn't involve you,
Okay.
so that's nice. Let's get your take on the whole Davidoff Avo uproar last week. For those of you listening, real quick, and I'm hesitant to call it a full-blown scandal. I think it was just a very poorly executed marketing strategy. But a lot of folks are up in arms about it. Especially some retailers, rightfully so. So essentially, Davidoff released 4 new limited releases. I guess early in the year, maybe late last year. I don't know. And they announced that these new limited releases, for those of you listening, I'm using quote fingers. They announced last week that they were actually 4 existing regular production Avo blends. They basically just repackaged them, changed their names, hyped them up to get folks to either unknowingly revisit 4 classic lines or try them for the first time, but they bumped the price up. So you spent more on these things than you would if you just went out and bought the actual regular production line in the store. And when they did the big announcement, they said, we wanted to show you there's so much to discover. The line was called the Unexpected line. That there was so much to discover every time you light up an Avo cigar. Now you can keep enjoying our artfully blended and unexpectedly crafted Avo cigars all year round. Their whole thing was you're going to be pissed off because it's so limited. Man, I love this cigar. I can't believe I'm not going to be able to smoke it again. Guess what? It's in every shop, go on in. It's right there. I can see some merit in the strategy, but it seems to me hiking the price up is where they kind of fucked up.
Well, it depends. I'll speak on that because I think if the cigars had been pulled from the market and aged for a while, how do you put a price on time?
So my understanding, and I'm not an expert on this whole thing that happened, but my understanding was that these were ones that had been in the aging room for 6+ years, and because they have a pattern of like saving things, so later they can put like samplers together or whatever. I believe, like they did the Avo sampler that had all the different LE Avos, LE04, LE05, and I don't know if they remade those or if they had them in.
Right.
But my understanding was that these had been in inventory for a while.
So they were a little more aged than
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I never got that. I watched the whole big reveal, and I didn't get that.
So let me ask this question before I give you my opinion. So did you see, between the launch of the cigar and the reveal, did you see any reviews or anybody break down the cigar and give their opinion of it, or say, look, I got this LE cigar, it's great, it's better than everything else?
I think after the fact, I went back and I think I read a Coop review. I don't read a lot of reviews just because we review, and I really don't want to read anyone else's take on something that we might review ourselves someday. I like to kind of go into everything as fresh as I can. So no, I hadn't. And honestly, Avo's not really a line I follow.
Look, if it was somebody like Risty, who was trying to make a point that the majority of the LE stuff in the cigar world is just bullshit,
right?
And you pay extra for no reason, you chase it for no reason. If it was somebody like Risty, who that's his kind of character, to do that, I wouldn't really be surprised by it. If I was a retailer that bought into it, I think I would go, well, shame on me, because on one hand, you know, a really respected retailer said, look, I buy hundreds of boxes of whatever. I'm the largest Avo retailer in the country. So, you know, I'm not going to taste a cigar before I buy it. I'm going to buy it because I trust this company and the business I've done with them, which makes it even more of a violation.
And that's where I think Jeff at Corona was really one of the biggest voices. Like, you know, he felt like it was put a tarnish on his, you know, it was putting his reputation kind of.
Well, because I asked him, kind of in private, I said, hey, you know, completely don't take this the wrong way, but if I'm a consumer and your whole pitch to me is that you're going to put something in my hand, you're saying it's worth the money, you're saying that you put your stamp of approval on it, and you're saying that I should smoke it based on your knowledge of what I smoke, then basically you didn't know, and so you pulled a fast one on me the same way they pulled a fast one on you. And he said, look, that's part of the reason why he was pissed off about it, because it's like, not only did it violate my trust with the company, you forced me to violate trust with my own customers.
And that made sense.
And he said, hey, if a customer bought this and they want their money back, then just come see me.
And he's selling the rest of his stock at cost.
Yeah, exactly. Which is I guess the right thing to do. But,
I think so.
On a larger level, separate from the, is it a cool? I mean, I could see 5 marketing people sitting around a table at some company.
Yeah, this is good.
Oh shit! I got the greatest idea ever. You know, the emperor has no clothes. We're going to reveal to all these experts that this is. I think they waited they didn't wait long enough to do the reveal. They should have waited for all the bloggers to do their glowing reviews, put them on the end of the year list, say how much better this is and anything Avo ever made, and then go boom. Guess what? You know. So I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, most of our limited stuff, except for craft and a couple of other things, they're all the exact same cigar we make, just in a different size.
Right.
And they're limited in the sense that we don't make a lot of them.
Well, the box count's a little different too, right?
Yeah, so you can buy smaller quantities. And anything, the reason why they're a little more expensive is because there's sizes that are harder to roll, or because the box itself is a 10 count instead of a 24 count, so you know there's a little bit more for that. But in general, if the kind of lesson learned is most LEs are kind of a bullshit thing. I mean, we buy all the tobacco from the same. So, for example, we buy our Cameroon from Oliva, not from the J. Cortez Oliva, but from Gilberto Oliva.
Gotcha.
He has a private tobacco business on the side. So, if you take all the Cameroon tobacco that they use on their normal Oliva G line, that's the same. It all comes from the same place. There's no secret Cameroon from Mars, right? As Carlos Sanchez says. So. We get the stuff we get has a lot more color variation. It's a lot darker than what they generally use, and mostly it's small. To get 17, 18s, and 19s, there's very few of them. I mean, we had 100 wrappers to make this size. You know, we just bought another 180 pounds of it from the same source, and we'll be able to make maybe this anthropology size next year. 500 or 600 boxes or something. So in that sense, it's limited because we only have access to so much Jamastran tobacco, so much Cameroon wrapper. It doesn't mean that tobacco itself is limited. It's just that we as a factory can't get that tobacco.
That's what you get. Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, we have to beg, borrow, and steal to get people to sell us the kind of Jamastran Ligero that we want, right? The Honduran tobacco. So, but if you're Julio Aroa or you're Nestor Placencia, that's an everyday tobacco, right? So it's limited in the sense there's only so many we can make, but that doesn't mean that it's some secret special tobacco that was found in the back of a warehouse somewhere.
There's a lot of that special secret tobacco going around, isn't there?
Well,
you're gonna find a lot more here pretty soon.
But speaking of that, the whole idea that people are taking old blends or old kind of real close to old blends or old styles and making new cigars with that, is you're going to see more and more of that.
Well, and I think that's what I was getting from Mike's comment with the FDA. Everyone's going to be finding, pre-predicate date, just
there's no proof.
Crates and crates of mystery cigars.
There's no proof that we don't know what the predicate requirements are going to be. But I just smoked a sample of a cigar Justin Andrews, a new Whiskey Rose cigar for Christmas, which it seems late. It should have been released already if it's a Christmas cigar, but I said, is this a CAO America? He's like, I want you to smoke this. And I was just CAO America. And he's like, yeah, it's based on that. And so it's obviously has a little bit of changes, but it was made at AJ Fernandez, which makes it different. It's beautifully made. And I think he showed it to me because it looks a lot like our Sabertooth. Like, you know, people are going to say this is, you know, your idea. And I'm like, no, we stole this idea from the CAO America.
The CAO America is kind of the grandfather of all barber poles.
No, the exact way we make that kind of layered barber pole, that thin barber pole, we got from Esteban making those CAO Americas, right?
Oh, I didn't know he was...
Yeah, he worked at STG or Latin when those were made. So
interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So no, you basically just stole your own thing back.
Yeah.
There's nothing new in the industry.
There's very little new.
Sure.
Yeah, you're not going to reinvent making cigars.
But people can try like hell, Skip. And try like hell!
As Saka says, they're all round and brown, you know.
Hey, speaking of Saka.
Yeah.
2 days ago, and you brought up bloggers already a couple times tonight. So
can we open up our first beer?
Yes, please.
Because I need to really be drinking to talk about Saka.
Let me. Can I take the chocolate down? Is that?
Yeah, that's how you finish it.
My diet tonight.
Yeah.
By the way, that was extremely good.
You can get fucked up drinking those and not even realize it.
Thank you, Sean. That was awesome.
Yeah, because you can't taste it.
And it's the caffeine at the same time as the... So the first beer we have is from Trillium, which is a craft beer company in Boston, Mass. These were sent to us by Mike Damari. Do you know Mike Damari from the Ash Holes?
I do not. I also don't listen to other cigar podcasts. We like to keep it pure, man.
You should know Mike Damari. He's he works at Two Guys Smoke Shop.
He did.
And he doesn't work there anymore?
He put his notice in.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, I think he has probably another week left, and then he's
why would he quit that job? Dealing with Mr. Jonathan every day?
I don't know. Something about something.
So you want to tell us about the beer?
Yes, you said it's from Trillium. The PM Dawn is an American stout made with cold brew coffee. It's a collaborative effort with their neighbors there in Boston, the Barrington Coffee Roasters. Has an ABV of about 9%, and
which
they don't
really low for us.
9%.
This is just a get you ramped up.
Okay.
I expected better.
And they don't really give an IBU. I mean, it must be fairly low. They just
It's
put
a
it
stout, so it's not going to be...
I mean, normally...
I put it about 13.
I would say 9.
We'll split the difference.
And Trillium itself has been brewing since 2013. They started in March of 2013 and have, with the help of, as they say, with the help of their family, friends, and community, set out to create their own, what they consider to be their own style of beers.
Well, clearly they copied
Viaje?
Andre's Viaje Craft.
I was going to
look.
say, it's pretty obvious. I mean, you can't really get past it. Is that craft series still kicking around?
I have no idea.
We talked a lot about that last time.
Ronnie sent us a couple of boxes. I think I haven't.
I got a little smarty pants, huh?
We give them to the UPS driver.
Oh, that's nice. It is the holidays. Well, this is good. It's really good.
It's a good transition from the coffee we just had.
It is a very good transition from the coffee we just had.
I thought it would go good with the Baca.
But the Baca reminds me of something. I just can't quite put my finger on it.
Well, we started with the 1916 Cameroon from Tarano, and then it quickly departed from there. The War Zone from Espinosa, the new one, is a lot more like, I think, the original 1916 Cameroon.
Okay.
Probably a little bit more bite to it than the original had.
He's working for Espinosa now, correct?
Who?
Toronto?
Yes.
Jack Tarano, yeah.
Okay.
I thought we'd make it through a podcast without talking about Jack fucking Tarano.
I think that's the first time I've ever actually said his name.
No, but Hector and Justin worked on it with Eric Jr. and Eric. It's a really good cigar if you haven't had it.
The War Zone?
I think it's good, yeah. I mean, given that I was kind of in a part of that process as well before they took over and started over again, I know what kind of challenge it is working with the kind of selection of tobaccos and within the parameters that Scandinavia had for them. So I thought they did a good job within those parameters.
Okay, we'll add it to the list. Well, we were talking about Saka and bloggers.
And Baca.
And Baca.
And Muestra de Caca.
Muestra de Caca? Oh, Skip. So he posted the following on Facebook as a sidebar, I think it was yesterday, to a post where he was announcing, I think the top cigar lists are starting to come out.
Yeah, he lobbied pretty hard for those.
And he was thanking this review site for giving him some good placings on it. Which, by the way, stay tuned. We're going to be actually live here on the air night releasing the Tuesday Night Cigar Club's top 10 cigars of the year.
Tonight.
Well,
we do have 3.5 hours.
How's that for breaking news? Well, I really don't want to talk much about this movie.
Cody, I'm going to need you to pack all the gear up before he gets to the top 10.
Oh, yeah, we got to get the fuck out of here after I say
Yeah.
But he was talking about, he was thanking this site, but then he added this sidebar at the end. And my ears certainly picked up. And I know, Skip, you comment quite a bit on bloggers and their roles and how they do what they do. This might get us in trouble behind us. We'll see. You might only get to listen to this show, but with these faces, who could...
I'll walk up to Google and I'll be like, you're going to play our episode.
Okay. Please.
Come on.
So here's what Mr. Saka said that kind of got my interest. I wanted to get your take on it. He said, I do not expect to do well overall on the top list this year, even though
Which is bullshit.
Even though it was my best cigar and business year ever.
Which is... Okay, I'll give him that one.
Why? Yeah, I'll pause. Why, he says? I didn't really see all that many reviews of the Leave Me the Hell Alone Lancero, the Sobre Mesa Brulee, Mi Querida, or Sin Compromiso. Partly, this is the first part I kind of... Partly because I intentionally chose this year to not, all caps, send out samples to the media for a second year in a row.
That's okay, I'm calling bullshit on that.
I have noticed as a result, DTT, Dunbarton Tobacco and Trade, Tobacco and Trust, simply receives fewer reviews from not sending out the free samples, and in the case of some bloggers who create top lists, 0 reviews.
That's true. So what he's saying right there is, if you do like we do, we've never sent cigars to...
The only free RoMa Craft cigars we've ever got is when we sat down with you.
So when we had our first sampler, our first 5-count Cro-Magnon Cometh sampler, kind of like the Iceman Cometh. I thought no one got it, but that's what it was based on.
I didn't get it until you just explained it.
So that was 2011 February. We did not give a single one away, but most of the new media guys bought a sampler. A CigarSmoker.com, Barry, Doc Stogie Fresh, Stogie Review, Nice Tight Ash. Those guys that were around then, they all bought it, which is the way it should be, because this is the way I see it is. And not to interrupt Saka's
we'll get back to it.
Self-masturbatory, whatever the fuck that is. He's a master at it.
You give him a lot of shit for it.
Look, I love Saka.
We do too.
And I like his cigars.
And I know you do.
And Esteban's brother makes a lot of his cigars, right? So we want him to be successful, because the more people like Saka that are successful, and Nick and those guys, the less people like the other ones we talked about.
But isn't, by him saying that, and I say this as someone who reviews cigars, isn't him saying that, one, it sounds like he's trying to kind of cut off at the pass. Hey, if I don't get on a lot of lists, I'm going to tell you why. And one of these reasons why is because I'm not sending them free shit anymore. Right. But then, doesn't that kind of take away from the years he was sending out free cigars? Because he's basically saying he only made... I got on those lists because I was giving them free cigars.
I don't think it that way. I think what he's saying, first of all, is there are people who put in the consensus list, at least, that comes from 60 different blogs or whatever.
Well, now I think you don't even need a blog. You can just write a top 10 list. Yeah. This year they announced you can just...
Whatever...
anybody can get
whatever that thing is built from, and Charlie and them are very transparent about where they get their numbers from. A lot of those people only review cigars that were sent to them. And that's what Saka's saying is, but I didn't get a lot of reviews because a lot of the cigars that weren't sent to people, number one. Not necessarily that you get better reviews because you send people cigars. You just get more of them, for sure.
Well, for a show like ours, we do 24 shows a year. So we're not
yeah.
like Coop, or we're not like a lot of these
Right.
guys that are on the air every week. You know, our show taxes our bodies physically.
Well, but if you-
we can't do as many.
Yeah, but if you listen to any one of those shows, like every 10 minutes there's some kind of advertisement, right? So
Correct.
This is brought to you from the RoMa Craft Lounge with the RoMa Craft, brought
Correct.
to you
We're
by...
only going to have 2 commercials for you tonight.
Right.
You know what I love, boys?
What do you love?
Unique innovation in the cigar industry. And
Yeah, you do.
who does it better than and more regularly than our buddies over at Drew Estate? I got a really cool cigar I'd like to tell you good people about right now. Just take a second.
All right.
The Pappy Van Winkle's Family Reserve Barrel Fermented Cigar is a long filler premium cigar rolled in limited quantities at La Gran Fabrica Drew Estate in Esteli, Nicaragua. Deep barrel fermentation is the key process here that makes this expression vastly different from anything else on the market. That's true. That's not fake news.
It is not.
Hand-selected leaves from Kentucky, like our beer, are packed into small torquettes, that's bundles of tobacco to you two, which are then loaded strategically into oak bourbon barrels. Water's then added while mince, capital IMMENSE, all caps, immense pressure is applied to the torquettes via railroad jacks, not car jacks,
Railroad Jacks.
not Wolfman Jack. He's not in there pressing them down. He's dead, I think.
Yes.
Train jacks.
He's probably in the barrel.
But if it was Wolfman Jack, it would be incredibly immense.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would.
It would sound a lot like Alex Jones in there. I'm pressing this stuff. I got chemtrails up in the sky above. I'm trying to press down this Perique tobacco. The tobacco is then removed 2 to 3 times per year, shaken out. We've seen this process. Watch our videos on YouTube of the Louisiana Barn Smoker. Then repacked. The total process of fermentation takes 12 to 18 months. Who's got patience like that in the industry now? When you get an idea and boom, it's out there a couple months later. These guys are
Drew
patient
Estate.
as hell. Drew Estate. Leaving a truly unique flavor profile and aroma. The Pappy Van Winkle's Family Reserve Barrel Fermented is now available at brick and mortar Drew Diplomat retailers everywhere. Used to be only on the Pappy Van Winkle website. Now you can get them at any Drew Diplomat store. But they also released the Pig Vitola. That is only available on pappyvanwinkle.com.
Ah.
So they put it out there and they put a new one, but once again, you got to go back to them.
I've had several, but I have not had that pig. I wonder what that format does for the blend.
We got to get some of those.
So they should, I mean, to me, like where their revenue comes from really should go to, A, it takes a lot of time to put their shows together.
Sure.
So they need to be compensated in some way. 2, they have to travel and do other things for their media site.
Mm-hmm.
So that costs money.
Sure.
But the product itself, my opinion has always been, you could say whatever you want to say about our cigars if you paid your own money for it.
Sure.
If you went into a store, paid for it with your own money, then you get to give your opinion, and I have no right to say that that's in any way good, better, and different, right? It's your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So if you say this cigar sucks, I'll be like, well, you paid your money for it, that's your opinion, thanks for sharing. Now, if I give you a cigar, and I expect you to say something good about it in exchange for me constantly sending you cigars,
Or nothing at all.
yeah,
I will say this, not to name any names, because I know let's be honest. The practice of sending reviewers cigars is technically a no-no.
no, not to media guys,
Not to media guys.
because they're considered an industry.
Oh,
You just can't give it to consumers as a marketing effort.
Oh.
But there is a question about whether paid influencers should be able to, like these guys who do new media things, they might have to start doing warnings and stuff because it's a form of advertising, right? I mean, if a consumer puts up on his Instagram, hey, I'm smoking a soapbox and this is my opinion of it, I taste whatever the fuck people taste,
Sure.
and they say, I like it, don't like it, you should buy it, and nobody's paying them anything and they paid their own money, then that's First Amendment shit right there.
well, that's. I think we're okay then, boys.
Right? If say a big huge company pays for you to come do live sets at their events and they send you a bunch of free stuff and they pay you and then you promote it, you may have that's still completely legal. You're part of the industry, but then I think you have to do the warning stuff just like we do.
Well, I would assume if they're part of the master settlement agreement, wouldn't they be part of
Yeah, like Drew Estate, for example, not
Or
to name
Swisher.
or Swisher,
right?
But Drew Estate is a part of the master settlement agreement. That's why you have all the warning labels on their T-shirts and stuff, which is ridiculous. But if you do a review on a Drew Estate or an ad on a Drew Estate cigar, I think technically you're supposed to be doing the, nicotine is not a safe whatever the fuck bullshit they make us say. So
interesting. Well, we do actually at the beginning of this episode when it airs on YouTube, you'll see our Drew Estate. We are sponsored by Drew Estate proudly, but you'll see that it does have the warning label on our opening. Yeah. Hey, we're covered. How about us? Look at us. Okay. Well, I guess I can see your point there. I guess I read it as someone, we had Sin Compromiso on our top 10 last year, and I think maybe it's Firecracker.
Yeah, he killed it last year, right? Like he had quite a bit in the consensus.
But and then he will make an appearance on our top 10. Spoiler alert this year. But we bought. We bought those cigars.
If I was doing the top 10, if I was doing a top 10 every year, which I used to do a top 10 in the Smoke Signals blog that I had on Blogspot. Real high quality content.
I'm sure.
Right.
But I did the one where you're talking about toothpaste?
Yeah, that was one of my best.
I think I read that one. Yeah, I did. Read that.
But the like for example, one of my favorite cigars that I smoked this year, which I actually smoked before almost anybody, the finished product was the Tricky Traca, which I thought was a really good cigar. And
I wasn't as big a fan as these guys were on the Firecracker, so I have yet to smoke. It just didn't really appeal to me. If I see it out in the wild, I'd grab. I just haven't had a chance.
It's really similar to our Cro-Magnon. I mean, it's not a lot different. In fact, a couple of guys at the media house at IPSPR gave me one, and I'm like, "Are you sure this is not a Cro-Magnon cranium?" It's got a lot of the very same characteristics, the way it's rolled, the type of. I mean, we get the wrapper from the same source. I know it's different. I know he didn't copy our blend or whatever, but when Raul and Esteban grew up together and Raul influences Saka's cigar making, it's very similar. I liked it. I can't. If I said I didn't like it, then I'm saying I don't like my cigars either. Right? Except his are like $2 or $3 more. So
I would know that because
there is that.
We buy them.
Well, I think that if you're gonna have a blog and you're gonna say something about a cigar, right? I think one of the things that's kind of missed out of it, like we talk about, like what do you go back to all the time? Like if you were to say, hey, all the new cigars that came out, right? Do you smoke it multiple times? And then based on multiple times through smoking it, that should be your top 10.
That is a great point. Our top 10 list, actually, if you go through this year's, it's just based on what we smoke on the show. Yeah. Tut's in love with the Oscar Videra's Superfly. We didn't smoke it on the show.
The Corona, right? Yeah, because the other one's not as good. I don't think. 660 the Corona is great.
Yeah, he's smoking the hell out of Superfly, but we didn't do it on the show, so it wasn't eligible.
Groover gave me one of those in Florida. I really liked it.
He's in love with that cigar, but it wasn't eligible. It's just what we do on the show.
It's a little racist, but
we're not. I'm just kidding. But we're not saying these are the top 10 cigars out there. We're saying these are the top 10 of what we smoke.
I mean, there's a little culture appropriation, but moving past that, it's a good cigar.
Good movie. At least it's a good movie. But if you look at the ratings we gave it throughout the year, our top 10 list isn't going to jive with those ratings. In other words, we could have given a cigar a 90, and on our top 10, it's going to be above a 92 because we ended up smoking more of that 90.
Yeah, but most of those ratings are bullshit. I mean, most of the ratings are so arbitrary. I mean, they're not. I mean, it is what it is. But like to Mike's point, the Padron 1926 number 9 Maduro, that would be on my top 10 list. Whenever I walk into a cigar store and buy something that's not my cigar, that's always one of the ones in my hand, right? It's simple, it's good, it's always the same. If I'm tasting weird shit in my own cigars, I'll smoke one of those to see if it's me or if it's the cigar.
Kind of get your palate in sync?
Yeah, just kind of like
when RoboCop has to get his gun straightened out.
A calibrator.
Calibrator.
Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, there's some of those. I mean, look, I don't really care if a guy gave you a cigar that you reviewed and you put it on your top 10 list. But if you put it on your top 10 list and you didn't go out and buy a box or two, and 2 or 3 years later you're not still smoking it, then I'm calling bullshit on your
Correct. And I think you and I got not into it, but I think we had a discussion a while back on Facebook where you'd mentioned that, and I took a picture of my humidor, and I'm like, look, there's 4 boxes of Sober Mesas. Yes, I fell in love with the cigar. I still smoke the cigar once a week. I really, that cigar just really did it for me. Whereas, you know, the one I was waiting for, Mi Querida, the broadleaf, didn't. I mean, that shocked the hell out of me. That was, you know, my...
Well, it's like thinking about this movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you put on Goodfellas, I've seen it 50 times. I'm going to watch it again. And if I'm going through the DVD collection, I'll go, oh man, Goodfellas, it's a good time to watch that. And I'll watch it.
Shawshank Redemption.
I'm never watching this movie again. If it comes on...
Life's too short, Scott.
Yeah, I'm never watching this movie.
Life is too short.
Right, so if you say you love this movie, then it's got to be like Goodfellas is to me.
Sure.
It's got to be something you're going to want to watch all the time.
Tut's already watched it 3 times.
But okay, so going back to the review, does it have to be a new cigar that just came out this year?
No.
Well, every list
Not
has
for
its
us.
own rules.
We have no rules as far as...
Okay. So if it's been around for a long time, but you just keep
For
going back to
instance, one of our top 10, our big St. Patty's Day episode. That's a big episode for us because we drink so goddamn much. But we always do a Candela. The world of Candelas isn't on a new, as far as new Candela releases, is not something, you know, we could...
I know that Don Bosco came out, it's pretty hot.
I'm not a fan of it, but we do make the best Candela in the game.
Well, we're big fans of the Fomorian.
Yeah.
We've all smoked it, aside from the show, but we found one finally on this year's St. Patty's Day list, St. Patty's Day episode, that we're like, this is the best Candela we've had on the show. And we've had...
Since the Fomorian.
Well, we never featured that on the show.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. I think we got like 2 at Havana House.
It can't
once.
be as good as the Fomorian, though.
We'll see. Can you guess it?
I don't really care.
Oh, probably the Illusion, the Holy Lance.
I would say Illusion makes a great Candela at Aganorsa.
It's not the Illusion.
The old Camacho Candela, the old La Flor Double Claro. Those are all good. To me, it has to be really strong filler for it to work.
Here's our first. We're giving away a few things tonight. Is that correct?
Sure.
Sean, is that right? Giving away.
He just woke up. What? He just snapped him out of his nap.
Are we giving away some swag?
Give it away.
Sure, we'll give a. Well, I'm gonna give a RoMa thing for somebody who says that another Candela is better.
Oh, it's gotta go.
No. We're on Facebook Live right now. First one who comments which Candela we smoked this St. Patty's Day episode, they make them do a little bit of research. And they have to say that it is the second best on the market after the Fomorian.
In the comment section.
In the comment section, they have to phrase it.
We'll give them a weasel hat like mine.
They will get a weasel hat just like
All
Skip's.
right.
There you go.
By the way, dope hat.
That is a very nice hat.
High quality craft.
Sales
Do we
at
get
cigarweasel.com.
do we get parting gifts?
Yeah, you
besides
have to
hats?
send an email to, just like everything, we don't have a website where you can buy swag, but
Yeah.
if you don't win this, like say you're the second commenter and you feel a little sour about the
A
whole
little slighted.
thing, you can buy one for a fairly good price. You just have to send an email to Sean at sales@cigarweasel.com.
Okay.
Tell him what size New Era fitted cap you wear.
Okay. You got big ones?
These actually fit a little bit, you have to get one size smaller than normal, so
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
than our old hats.
Okay.
So I wear like a medium large.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to have a huge melon to wear a large,
The extra large. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're big.
Like Rudy from Arizona needs an extra large, triple extra large.
Was it the wasabi?
It was the Wasabi from Espinosa.
Ah.
Phenomenal cigar. And that was not a new release.
Was it different than the pickle juice, or is it the same cigar?
So was it phenomenal for a Candela, or
The
is it
pickle
just
juice was
phenomenal?
discontinued. I
Period.
wanted to get the pickle juice. We couldn't get our hands on any pickle
Okay.
juice. So I got like the last
See, that would be a
box
good
of
question of, would the limited releases that are different, I don't know, I'm just asking.
I don't think you missed out much not smoking a pickle juice.
Not smoking the pickle juice?
But the wasabi is a good Candela.
It's a really good Candela, yeah.
I think Hector learned a few things from our Fomorian.
He
He put a little stronger tobacco in it. I'm going to go out on a limb and say...
and again, it's not even available anymore. But it made our top 10 because we loved it. And there's still boxes floating around. They're hunted down. I mean, that's kind of the fun part of it.
I'm sure the way retailers work, man, there's a retailer with a box of them on the shelf going, I can't fucking sell these things.
It's a very, very good if I remember correctly.
Did anyone guess it? Do we have a winner?
Yeah, Luis Rodriguez.
Oh,
There you go.
Luis, he needs a weasel hat.
Fucking A. That would have sucked if they didn't guess it and Tut just blurted it out.
I'll tell you
It's
a
not
funny-
how this works, Tut.
So since Luis is watching, I'll tell you first a story about Luis.
Okay.
Because he's like
Is
the
he
most...
State Line?
He's the most loved, hated guy in the...
State Line?
I don't have an
tobacco?
issue with him. Huh?
State Line tobacco?
State Line.
Yeah.
So we had at Bourbon Street, we had our party at IPCPR, and we had all these boxes on the table, just like, hey, pick a cigar, smoke one, whatever.
all crammed outside on smoking on a patio.
Yeah,
on
so he went through the boxes. He was just like picking them up, like no shame.
Which is what they were there for.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Somebody goes, "Hey, that guy's stealing all your cigars." I'm like, "They're for free. You can't steal them."
So you'll autograph his weasel hat.
Yeah, he's definitely a weasel.
You get a personalized message.
Zero
from Skip.
shame.
He's a good dude.
There's a second part of Steve. He likes to write. There's a second part of Steve's sidebar that I want to get your take on.
He's spoken.
Another trend I have noticed, this is Steve talking, is that some of the bloggers lately have been becoming very groupthink. Like, one of the things I've always liked about the new media was their fresher, independent approach, but that seems to be waning. Maybe I'm wrong. Will be interesting to see where it goes. And DTT does really marginal with the print media as a whole, which we know his history with Cigar Aficionado. I'm persona non grata to some, and since I failed to advertise with others since the inception of Dunbar and I no longer get any reviews, I don't hold it against them. It's not any reviewer's responsibility to be fair. Reviews are opinions. Top lists are opinions. Everyone has the right to like what they like, dislike what they dislike, and ignore whatever they wish. This is all part of the business of cigars. And then he went on about, his cigars speak for themselves, and he's confident in all that, which he should be. The groupthink and the changing of the way new media being, us and people like us and similar. Again, to me, that just kind of seemed like cutting a potential situation off at the pass. If I'm not on a lot of lists, the landscape is changing. The reviewers are changing.
Well, here's what you got to know about Saka. He is the most, and this is my opinion, he is constantly worried that something he's doing is not going to work. But at the same time, 100% cocksure that it's the best thing ever done, right? So there's always this underlying kind of like second guessing of yourself until it comes out and everybody sucks you off, and then he's like, "Oh, of course I made it."
It just seemed premature to me. These lists have just started coming out, and it's already like, here's 2 reasons why I'm not going to make some lists if I don't make them. Here's they're changing, and I'm not giving them free stuff. And as someone who does this kind of stuff and who loves, look, we've talked to Steve a lot of time. I like Steve.
He'll show up on every list. He'll show up at the top of every list. Either it'll be Brulee or it'll be Tricky Traca. I think Tricky Traca will be in the top 3 consensus cigars. If it's not, I'd be really surprised.
I think the real debatable question is it sweet tipped or not?
What, the Brulee? Well, of course it is. Everybody knows.
What do you guys think about a sweet binder?
No.
Because he swears it's not a sweet
If you want my opinion, my learned, kind of informed opinion, not knowing anything about what really happened, is they put some sweetener in the gum. Whoever fucking mixed the sweetener when they made the Toros made it really sweet.
That's what we smoked.
Gave it away. Then he went and beat the shit out of them for it. And then they really dialed it back to almost nothing the way it was supposed to be in the beginning.
But he swears.
But the whole story about it being specially aged Ecuador, Connecticut, and that's why it's sweeter, that's Saka being Saka. But what he's saying is not wrong. What he's saying is that there is a little bit of a groupthink thing happening, and I think that's true because while there's a few kind of odd guys on, and I don't mean odd like odd like out of
Outsiders.
The mainstream
Sure.
guys that are on YouTube that kind of do their own thing, and some of them are just completely.
We're sitting right here.
They're
Steve.
horrible.
Come on, man.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I don't want. I have no problem saying names, but fuck that guy, so I'm not even gonna give him any juice. But they are a lot more kind of in their own swimming in their own juices.
Amongst each other?
Yeah, so like they have podcasts where it's all the bloggers talking about inside baseball that used to be just some guy who loved cigars sharing his opinion about cigars.
Yeah.
And every now and then there was a little bit of juicy information about the industry, right? Which it's become almost all like, gossip about the industry.
Yeah.
They're feeding each other.
Yeah, and it's like exactly. So I wouldn't say I would say it's more that they're becoming mainstream because used to be when I was writing a blog, that was the exception. I mean, everybody read Cigar Aficionado, everybody read the trade whatever the magazines were, and the new media quote. We weren't even new media; we were bloggers, and the blog was if you for some reason read one every now and then, you were an exception. And now I would say more people get their information from about the industry from Half Wheel and Coop and other places than as much as they get it from Cigar Aficionado. Like this year's Cigar Aficionado, hand to God, I haven't even looked at what they are yet. I know they've released like 3 or 6 of them now.
No, they're all the way up to number 1. They only haven't announced number 1.
Okay, yeah. So I haven't looked at any of them, but I could tell you I could tell you who it is. You know, it's Rocky. It's Alan Rubin. It's the same people, right? And then there'll be a couple of small guys thrown in there.
Dion got high.
Yeah, like Cigar Coop did an analysis on every year for the last 20 years or something, and you can see there's like 10 or 15 companies that are like 18 out of 20 years or 16 out of 20 years. Whatever the fuck they made this year, that's something's going on the list. If somebody in your somebody that was real famous, a legacy in the business, passed away that year, it made the list.
Alvo didn't make it.
And then there was always like 2 or 3 kind of down at the bottom, like, you know, when we were on there one year.
Nick was on there. Yeah. So
Yeah.
They'll throw out, you know. But I think that goes back to there's obviously an influence based on the accessibility of the manufacturer on how high some of the guys are rated.
In the bloggers. Yeah, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but if you go into an average cigar lounge and you say, "Hey, did you guys read that story on Half Wheel today?" They're like, "What?" Like, I don't even know what that is.
Right.
Almost every cigar lounge you go into, nobody knows what Half Wheel is. Of course, we all know because I look at it twice a day. People in the industry do, but most average people don't. I mean, Coop maybe around the same, maybe a different kind of people, but
I guess I took the group think, and again, I'm coming at this from a different angle. You guys are coming at it from, you know, manufacturer. I'm coming at it from kind of the people he's talking about, but like, there's nobody more outsider than us when it comes to this kind of. You don't see us sitting on any, or getting invited to sit on any other.
Well, he's in his
podcasts or
feelings. In his feelings.
I mean, hasn't he been in every barn smoker in the last?
Yeah. I mean,
Well, we get to do other fun things than
Okay.
sit around with a bunch of fat guys talking about cigars. As fun as that is. But no, but I guess hearing that whole group think, it just seemed to me, you know, it seemed like early in the gestation of Dunbarton, there was the group think in a positive way in that everyone was so anxious to try his blends. Everyone ranked them number 1, number 2. It was the top consensus cigar 2 years in a row. We were, you know, we're in the consensus. We had it high up. We loved it, but it just seems like that was groupthink in that new Steve Saka cigar. Everyone's salivating for it. Everyone loves it. And so I guess it's a shift from a good groupthink that, you know, kind of.
I mean, I see what you're saying. What you're saying is
swings your way.
You're saying it's a double-edged sword. You're saying if you think these are negatives, then you're saying when you were on the list that they're positives.
Correct.
Or it just discounts you being on the list before.
That's one way to look at it.
Yeah. I don't know. Look, at the end of the day, man, what it is it's guys who really love the cigar business. They spend a lot of their own personal time putting these things together. I don't think any of them are making a living off of it, except for maybe the Half Wheel guys. Because have you seen their ad rates? It's like, I can't afford it.
I've heard.
Yeah, so I can't afford it. So they're doing good, and they do a lot of work. They do good work. So, like at the end, we wouldn't be where we are as a company if it wasn't for new media in general. Whether that's social media, or whether that's Facebook, or whether it's bloggers, you know, YouTubers. We never had the money to advertise the way these other companies advertise, and we didn't have money to travel and put cigars in people's hands the way you had to do it back in the old days.
It's actually just an investment in time and effort just to reach out and communicate with people, which, you know, to your credit, you guys in Saka are some of the best at it as far as customer interaction on social media.
We probably do more work reaching through to customers than we do to the new media guys. I personally listen to probably more cigar blogs and podcasts than any other human being. I can almost guarantee that. Number one, because I don't sleep, and number two, because at least 6 hours a day I'm listening to something.
Yeah.
So, and there's some good stuff out there. There's some.
I do not.
Mike does not. There's some good stuff out there. There's some stuff out there that's not. But, you know, our thing as a company has always been generate demand with consumers by going direct to consumers, and then having the consumers push their way into the retailers to buy our cigars, and then pick up guys like Tyler or other kind of influencers within the shops and say, hey, if you're a fan of our cigars, you support us, we're going to support you. And you know, we sell decent cigars at a fair price, and you know, we want people to buy them again and again and again.
I think, and the reason I brought it up, I know obviously you and Saka kind of comment on each other's stuff a lot, and
He doesn't really comment on my stuff.
Well,
he's too above it.
I was
but,
being nice.
Yeah.
But being that I know you're a fan of his blends, and we certainly are, and we're a fan of Saka. We talk to Steve like once a year or once every year. I mean, he's always been good to the show, and I really like Steve. I just think you two guys tend to comment on what we do more than most manufacturers, if they comment on us at all, other than to say they like us.
I try to comment as a fan, as a cigar smoker. I try not to look at it through the lens of being a cigar maker.
Right.
Like I don't really get wrapped around the axle about what you have to say about my cigar.
No, I mean, you do kind of, jump in there and comment when someone's picking up some unique, shall we say, notes.
I think tasting notes are kind of bullshit, but that's my personal opinion.
It's either good tobacco or it's bad tobacco.
Yeah. If I laid out 4 kinds of filler, could you tell me what's Pueblo Nuevo, what's Kiali, what's Jalapa, what's Dominican Allure? Of course you couldn't.
I think I could get half of those right.
I bet you couldn't.
Well,
I'd bet you $1,000 you couldn't pick 2 out of the 4.
The Tuesday Cigar Club, Skip, has traveled to every tobacco farm in the United States for 2 years running. And if it's American tobacco...
Yeah, I don't know shit about American
we're
tobacco.
Your guys.
So let's talk about, what do you think about the PM Dawn?
I liked it.
Fade away into...
I mean...
Memory bliss?
Memory bliss.
There we go.
Obviously being infused with the coffee, I really like that. I mean, that went really well with the cigar.
It's kind of like a heavy Guinness. Like a little thicker Guinness.
It's a little sweeter, I think. Yeah.
It actually, Yaks reminds me of last episode when we did the 32K...
35K.
35K from Against the Grain in Kentucky. We did their milk stout.
It is very similar to that, but I don't think it has lactose in it.
No, it does not. This one is just stout with the
right.
cold brewed coffee.
It's got a very similar on the front end, but it's smooth. I really like it. And the coffee's not, you know me with coffee stouts. It's very, very smooth. I like it.
I can tell you, our street cred as a company with beer is pretty high. When we get beer guys that come in here and like really hardcore brewers from all over the country who are like geeking out over the beers we have and the way we have it set up.
Yeah, it's kind of impressive.
Yeah. It's dope.
What was the guys happening yesterday that came over?
The guys from out of Abilene.
Yeah, so some
new brewers from Abilene.
They came over yesterday. They were
the 512 guys. They love coming over here.
Oh yeah, we're 512 fans. Yeah.
Pecan porter.
In fact, do we still have 512 on tap?
No.
Our tap doesn't get drank enough. We don't go through kegs fast enough.
We are picking up the Two Hearted Ale tomorrow.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites, the Bell.
What's the other one?
Spirit Animal.
No.
Spirit Animal we just finished.
Victory at Sea.
Oh yeah, the
Victory at Sea.
Ballast Point, the barrel aged Victory at Sea. So we have a good source for kind of mini kegs of really hard to find craft stuff. So they trade local stuff for the really hard to find craft stuff.
Nice.
Which is not hard to find necessarily in a bottle,
but
to get it in the. But Two Hearted Ale is like a classic.
Yeah.
I mean, you could drink that.
We've done that on the show.
Super sessionable.
All right. Well,
Did we answer your question?
So Bell's.
Do you feel like it?
No, I'm sorry. PM Dawn. So what are we pouring next? The.
While they're pouring, I mean, did you feel like you got?
Yeah. No.
The
I mean,
Hawaiian one.
As far as
Cigar
the
City?
top 10 lists and
How it responded, how you felt.
yeah, I know I did. I wanted to get your take because, like I said, I think it was just me reading it through my lens.
No, I could understand why you would feel kind of that way. Like there's a if I don't make the list, it's because of this. But yet, if I do make the list,
I just thought it was.
Did Saka send you free cigars this year?
No.
No. Okay. Has he ever sent you cigars before?
Not last year and not this year.
So what he's saying is true.
Yes.
Right. So at least for you, did you have him on lists?
On the list of free
of
cigars?
Your top 10?
Yes, he's made. I believe he's made our list at least.
Does him not sending you cigars this year reduce his chances?
No, he's high on our list.
Ooh, what if you did a
pass that
top
beer
10?
Sure.
of all
No,
the
the-
free cigars
Oh,
that you
Top
guys
10
got,
free?
right? And then a top 10 of all the paid cigars that you got. Ooh, that would be interesting.
All right, this is the Hona.
I don't think we could
Hunapu.
make a top 10 of the paid cigars we
Beer
got.
Stout.
We could do a top 3, maybe.
All right, and the beer.
Technically, traditionally, the cigars we get for free
Or ones you.
do not fare well with us.
Oh. Do you still review them, or do you just not
Yes.
say anything about them?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Mayan, not Hawaiian.
Because
Yeah.
that's kind of the
I was
thing,
just
right? It's like,
looking up
dude, if
that.
you don't like it,
Mayan.
why roast it?
The thing, we are not in the business to bury a cigar. Here's how we come about putting a cigar on the show, which is we're the only ones that kind of have this criteria.
It should be similar to Prairie.
Somebody sends us a Great White Shark Warhead cigar. You just said the Warhead cigar. They send us 5 Warhead cigars for your consideration or whatever. If by some chance, so put it in the drawer of the submitted cigars, which are mixed in with the ones I bought just in case.
Okay.
And let's say we're doing a movie. Let's say we're doing Dr. Strangelove, and
It fits the theme.
It fits the theme. Hey, I got a bomb cigar to go with this bomb movie. Let's get a Prairie Bomb beer. We got to make the 3 work somehow, at least loosely, thematically together. So that's how we pick our cigars for the show.
So
Sometimes we wrap it around the cigar, like with the
Right.
Sober Mesa Brulee this year. That's the only Saka cigar we got on the show this year. We did a Sasquatch movie because it was Halloween. We're doing horror movies. Saka Squatch. We did a Bigfoot horror movie, and then we found a Bigfoot beer, and it just has to that has to fit.
Sure.
And a lot of people send us cigars that I just either, like I said, we only do 24 shows. You can't get to them all. But if I want to really watch a movie that I can make it work,
Sure.
perfect.
So what cigar would you pair with City Hall?
I've
I've been trying to get
a
you to do.
cigar that no one's heard of.
So no one knows this, but one of my favorite movies, my top 10 favorite movies of all time, City Hall,
Skip's been trying
with
to
Al
guess.
Pacino and Danny Aiello and John Cusack.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies of all time. And I've been trying to get Cade to get this movie on. I've been trying just to get him to watch
This has been going on for years. Skip trying to get
It's
us to
the
do
best
something.
movie you've never seen.
That's right. Never seen it.
Never seen it.
So tell us about the beer.
This the Hanapu is it's a limited release from Cigar City Brewing,
that's the beer?
located in Tampa, Florida.
people say
it
line
is
for this.
based on the Mayan mythology of Hunapu, who was the father of the Mayan hero twins Hunapu and I'm gonna say
Another
Say
dude.
Jablu.
Another dude.
Yeah.
Just that guy.
Anyways,
So
on
it's an
and so
Imperial
forth.
Stout?
Yeah.
It should be very similar to Prairie. It's got cacao or cocoa. It's got vanilla, chili. So it's similar to Prairie. I've never had it. I've had the normal one, the normal release, but this is like a limited barrel age release or something.
What
I've
is
never had
the
this one.
ABV on this bad boy, Yax?
It is 11.5%.
So yeah, it's a sessionable.
All right.
Still, we're in that range.
Okay. Just warming up. Okay.
But it's interesting how it compares to the last beer. Because it's an Imperial versus American Stout, so it's heavier.
Yes.
Oh, it's got a.
It's got that chili pepper finish.
Yeah.
It's got
cocoa on the
ancho
back for sure.
chilies.
Way more cocoa.
Yeah.
They said there's cinnamon, cocoa nibs.
Yeah. These glasses, by the way, these I don't think these beers are made to drink the way you drink beer. Like if you drink them in these little glasses, different ones, it's a whole lot better way to approach drinking these kinds of beers, I think. If you drink one of these whole bottles, A, you're gonna be fucked up. And then B, it's too much.
Well,
I think.
It reminds me. Did you ever do the thing when you were a kid where you pour a shot of beer into a shot glass a minute and see how many you can do?
Is it a car bomb?
Like on the steps of the ladder.
Any beer, you just get a shot glass
the frat thing.
A shot a minute of just beer.
I'll let you mention when you drop it.
Yeah, this is the way.
Flaming Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
This is the way to do it, though.
Okay.
I think.
Well, Skip, have you finished your top 20 list of cigar blogs and media sites yet? Or
No, I've made it super clear
you're
that.
waiting to see how you rank.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. How we do on your list heavily influences.
Well, same here. We were waiting to see if this event was going to take place before we completed our list.
Yeah.
And wanted to see if you guys brought out, the good stuff. And,
Well, let me ask you a question. Does how much you like the manufacturers, or does that play into?
It can't.
He doesn't really like me.
Skip's actually.
The whole thing is, I'm a Tuttle. I'm in Camp Tuttle.
Yeah.
Okay.
You like the Doctor, too.
I'm in Team Tuttle, and I like the Doctor.
Yeah.
I don't know. I call bullshit on that. I think that depends on how much.
What?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying how much people are.
Well, let me say
how
this.
friendly they are influences
Of
the
course.
reviews.
Well, let me say this. We've kind of
Because I don't smoke anybody's cigar that I don't like.
Well,
I just won't.
Well, yeah. If anybody's a dick on the opposite side of the spectrum,
Sure.
anybody's a dick to us.
Right.
Yeah. Good luck with us ever.
If I don't like the guy, it
talking
influences
about
this.
it.
Name a name.
Who's been a dick to us in the industry?
Ooh, that's good.
Because you gotta name
Look
a
at
name.
me. Do you know something? I can't think of any names off the hand.
Nobody that's been a dick to us to our face.
Oh,
Well,
of course.
Hang on a
it's
second. Well, let's
cigar
ask this question. Do you guys go to IPCPR?
We went last year.
You went last year. Okay, so did you have any
They spent
kind
all
of-
their time in the Drew Estate booth.
Oh,
though.
okay.
Yeah,
So
we
you're
were
kind
working
of.
They were supposed to come to our booth and never did.
Yeah.
We did. You guys were always busy.
We are always busy.
Well,
how
that's
we
what
do
everybody
it.
says, like it's a bad
We
thing.
didn't have an appointment.
Actually, I showed up to the after party and you put your hand in my face and shoved me away.
That's so bullshit. I probably grabbed you by the balls.
Actually, we walked in
put a
and
beer in
Risque
your
was
hand.
behind the DJ booth, and I thought we were in the wrong room. And but then the cops showed up, and it was over like 5 minutes later.
That was the year
No,
before-
we went to
the year before
IPCPR.
last. We didn't get kicked out last year.
Well, he asked DJ Real Money DJ Rockstar
Okay.
DJ
Yeah.
Money DJ.
That is a
He
long
asked him
name
to
for a
play.
DJ.
He asked him to play Travis Tritt,
Oh.
and didn't go
Get
well.
that bullshit out
Yeah.
of here.
But no, everyone.
I asked for the club mix.
I'll give you an example, Mike, of someone who's been extremely nice to us that we try because of the way he's treated us. Unlike Skip, who's mean as shit to me.
That's so true.
It is so true. This is a dude that treats us very well, so we try at least every other year, just because of the way we've kind of developed and we communicate with him. He doesn't get a lot of love in blogs and reviews and
Are we talking about Saka again?
we're talking about Daniel Marshall.
Oh, great guy. A little bit eccentric, but
Very eccentric.
Yeah.
He's been on our show.
His
We ended up
humidors are great.
talking-
I don't know that he completely understands what you do. Like I don't understand.
Actually, yeah, because a lot of times when people say, "Hey, we love what you do for the industry. We love what you're doing," what do we do? Whatever you do is
No,
good.
the way
Exactly.
He's
gentlemen, the way
actually-
you bring movies in with the industry, no one else, like he gets it. And he was on our show. We tell everybody 30 minutes for an interview. 2 hours later, we're still talking to him.
But were you
Poor
drunk?
Poor Pete Johnson. Oh my God, we kept him like at 2 hours late the other night.
But Daniel actually talked about an individual episode. He was like, "Hey, that people under the stairs that you do."
Dude, he actually watches and he gets it.
Yeah.
And then we went to IPCPR and he had Val, who was working his booth for him, give us some whiskey and we ended up just talking to him. He's just the nicest.
He's a super nice guy.
And his backstory is so interesting on how he got into
I loved seeing him in the Hand-Rolled.
Yeah.
Because when I think back to that kind of when I started smoking cigars, he was one of those guys that I was like, it's
Yeah.
part of the story.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. And so we try at least every other year to get a Daniel Marshall cigar on because he's great friends with Arnold. Usually if we're doing an Arnold movie, we'll get Daniel Marshall in there.
So you and I had a lot of editorial notes on the Hand-Rolled. So I haven't watched your
Editing-wise.
episode of that yet. Yeah.
You should watch it. Basically, we did bring up, when we were discussing the film, you and I kind of felt the same way as far as the editing, how the FDA thing got kind of dropped in early, forgotten about.
And the consumer thing was weird.
And we kind of...
I can tell you that the cut we saw at the trade show was not near as polished as the cut that actually came out on Netflix.
I think what came out on Netflix was exactly what they intended as far as focusing on the traditional families,
Right.
making that the story. I still think the FDA thing was kind of fitted in kind of an awkward. I thought it could have been a little more streamlined. Why this is important to know this history. And
I mean, I'm still a little upset I didn't get my cameo.
Hey, it was about the old families.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nick and Pete and those guys were in there. Salty. But,
no Sokka. No Sokka.
There was no Sokka.
There was no Sokka.
Which I'm sure really bothers Sokka more than it bothers me, but...
Well, it was just weird. For us...
We'll be in hand-rolled, too.
For us, I'll be honest, for us having spent... Well, we talked with Pete about that. We're like, you know what? The next movie...
The Segundo. Hand-rolled, too.
The Gringo. The Gringo Casino. No, but we talked about Pete. I was like, you know what? We think the natural sequel, which is something that we've been talking for years about.
It'd be talk about to all the people who got put out of business next May.
Well, no, that would be the most depressing movie ever. No, we talked about exploring.
Mike and I have already decided we're going into the CBD oil, massage oil business.
Mike rubbed something on my shoulder earlier. It was hurting me. I feel great.
Like a champ.
If you masturbate with it, you wouldn't believe the effect.
He's got a great ass.
Yeah.
Tell what are our restrictions?
Have you ever masturbated with CBD oil?
I have not.
Is that like cocaine?
I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
It's a miracle worker, baby.
I'm just saying. Think about it. Think about it. It's hard to clean up.
He just nutted right now.
I'm
See
sure.
that? He just lost these.
The cleanup's a challenge.
I'm just
but
picturing Rich stay at home taking notes. But no. What the fuck was
I wish I could see the comments from the.
Tut, we getting some traffic? People watching?
Oh yeah.
Okay, we need to share this. And what?
Yeah.
What
if we have any interesting questions.
What are your two groups? Degenerate Weasels and Weasel Team 6.
Our group is Weasel Team 6.
Weasel Teams. We need to share this live video in Weasel Team 6 because those are your people.
Yeah.
Already done? Sean's on.
Look at Sean on the case.
Yeah, Sean's over there.
Sean's a man.
Barbecue, though.
Sean was not here when we were here last time.
No.
I think Danny had Danny had just started.
Oh, so you have you met John? Oh, he met John earlier. John DeOliver was a new hire.
Okay.
And then
no, I've met John.
John and Danny don't have permission to be out this late with us. It's considered work out.
I can understand this. I had to work for months to get permission for this.
They got banker's hours, man. They got it made.
Yeah.
Like I said, I completely.
By the way, I'm still smoking this soapbox because I don't want to put it down. It's really good.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure Ben will be happy.
So you've already lit up your.
I've actually lit up the craft.
I'm a huge fan of.
Are those guys even
James
smoking?
and Angela?
No, he's got one
Not
lit.
yet.
No.
I'm holding on.
But it's good to see
You're a
Ben too.
collector.
I'm glad.
You're a
it's-
collector.
What's
Sorry,
that?
you're a collector.
No. I'm just waiting for everybody else to get to the cigar so I can light up.
Which one? Did you smoke the
LA?
the Baca?
Which one? I smoked the Baca.
Okay.
Oh, I lit
okay.
up,
All
so
right.
you're
So
good.
we're lighting up.
Oh,
Okay. All
Well,
right.
we're gonna be drunk by the time we get to the LA. So.
Yeah, no, we're big fans of Blackworks and what they do and James's blends and I just we actually met Ben when we did our first episode
At
at TJ's.
TJ. Yeah,
He
yeah.
was working at TJ's.
Yeah.
And then soon after,
Well, that's when I sat and told was it Matt and
David is the owner.
Ben. I told them that they were dumb to get
Oh,
in.
they were gonna open up their own cigar shop. Remember
Yeah,
that? They
so
were
you
talking
guys are
about-
fucking idiots.
Really?
So
Then
it
if
worked
we're
out
gonna
well.
come up with their own brand, I'm like, that's dumb. But actually, hey, kudos.
Look at that.
Don't listen to me.
The world comes full circle. It's a good cigar. It's a really good cigar. I would not have brought it if I didn't feel confident in it.
Way better than when those slapdicks Ryan and Gordon were making it. No, I'm just kidding.
Who's Ryan and Gordon?
The guy he bought.
See, you gotta know
don't
your
even
history,
know.
man.
You don't even know.
I'm
You
not
don't even
Cigar
know.
Coop.
Ryan, you wouldn't know him.
Well, hang
'cause
on. Let's take it back.
Yeah.
So they used to work at a shop called the Humidor in Wichita, Kansas.
In Wichita, Kansas. Yeah.
And they used to throw
the cigar circus.
the livest parties.
Okay.
Like after 10:30, whatever, they move everything out, and they had a DJ come in, and it was all the way live. So they decided to talk the owner of the cigar shop into fronting the money to making their own
brand.
to make their own brand. And so, it went kind of well.
That's
It
where
went well.
Dissonant- that's where Dissonant
came
started.
from.
Oh,
right?
they were the original Dissonant.
Yeah,
Right,
and
okay.
Ben bought it from the
Right,
shop owner.
correct.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes from.
Because
Wichita, Kansas.
Ryan got born again sober, and Gordon
Ooh, I don't
moved
know.
to a different
Is that
shop.
true? Is he
yeah.
sober? Yeah.
Well,
I know.
yeah,
I
Ryan.
know. I know he was.
He's
still
like
doing his-
involved in film festivals and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
now. See, I'm real friends with people.
Okay.
You were friends with them when they could
when
just
they
do
could
something for
buy
you.
when they could buy stuff.
Right,
Like no,
right.
actually that's not true. I still talk to Gordon all the time.
Tuesday Night
I
Therapy
still talk
Club.
to Ryan.
Okay. I like his pictures.
Yeah, but
Does that count?
I don't
No,
know
that
if you're a
doesn't
real
count for
friend.
anything. Skip even
yeah.
occasionally likes one of my pics. Usually it's like my kid.
Yeah.
Nothing we're doing.
Mike only gets on Facebook when I
Professional.
comment about him.
What am I supposed
Here's
to
the thing. Number one, I'm not a big fan of Facebook.
Craft,
so there's that.
2019.
I just like your bourbon pics.
There you go.
Anyway,
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the Tut and I have, and Cody have lit up the craft. What is it? So this is next year's craft.
this
correct?
is this year.
Oh, this is the one that we got at Jeff's shop.
Yeah, next year's is we're already 3/5 of the way making it, and it's going to be 1,500 boxes of 10, and it's going to be released to 10 retailers, so 150 boxes.
Oh, so that's
15?
different. Not just a single retailer. You're going to
Yeah.
offer it to several.
So it's going to be 150 boxes times 10 retailers.
Okay.
So I'm sure it'll last an hour or so before it's.
These went really, really fast.
Yeah.
There was a very simple way to get them, but a lot of people didn't quite.
Look, we don't make them hard to get, but we just, it is what it is.
Well, it's a challenge, right?
These are hard to make. I mean, you have to actually physically touch this cigar about 5 times to make it.
Sure.
Compared to like 2 on a normal cigar.
So I had a retailer that we sent out earlier in the year, last year, the Black Irish, which was it had the Candela barber pole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Big fan. Which
so,
we reviewed on the Tuesday Night Cigar Club website. Go check it out. We liked it.
very, very nice. Thank you. So,
Skip didn't share that
not a
one.
big fan
oh,
of that cigar.
anyways, that's
Really?
okay. Well, hang on
It's
a second.
not bad, but
So,
it did a lot of good stuff for people in Nicaragua. I think we gave about $13,000 or $14,000.
that's Don Bosco.
Don Bosco is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the Black Irish. This is earlier
Oh, okay,
last
okay.
year. So I sent out everybody 2 or 3 boxes per account, depending on how well they supported our brand, right? So I got several retailers calling me going, what the hell am I going to do with 2 or 3 boxes? So you're just trying to share the love, right? You're just trying to dole it out a little bit as much as you can. What do you want? Cutter? I got you. Right here. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So on the flip side of that, if you go, hey, I'm going to give it to a single store, which this year we had Old Virginia Tobacco, they had the Don Bosco, we did the single release for Riverside, and we did the other one for Tobacology, right? So with the Witchcraft. So anyways, you get beat up by the other retailers who are like, well, how come I didn't get that?
Right.
It's like, well, you complained whenever I just sent 1 or 2 boxes of the other one, so if I don't have enough, how do you do that, right?
I can't possibly make you happy.
Right. So we make 500 or 600 boxes. So, like,
But here's my
what do you
thing.
want me to do?
I start telling people about it 6 months, a year before we make them. And when retailers call us after they've been released and say, how come I didn't get any of these, or what's the story with these? It's like, look, it went to the retailers and knew we did it a year ago. you know?
Well, here's the thing. The year prior to that, when we released the Craft, the La Campana series, we had 2,000 boxes, and everyone kind of got 5 to 10 boxes, right? So whenever the Craft this year came out and they didn't get any, they were pissed.
Yeah, we're just here to make cigar smokers happy. Retailers are unnecessary.
And get on people's end of the year list.
Well, as far as making you happy, reviewers, real quick, getting back to that, other than Skip, every reviewer just simply saying this is good tobacco or this is bad tobacco, or you know what, I get notes of good tobacco, or this, I got a little hint of bad tobacco there.
I have no idea
You've
what he just
commented
said.
enough on it. What would you like to see? I understand more education from reviewers, more like when we were talking about the soapbox before the show, and you were examining it, and you're like, you know what, I'm getting 2 different types of jalapa. I'm getting, you're examining the tooth on the wrapper, and you're trying to pinpoint that. If a reviewer doesn't have that kind of exposure to that kind of education, what kind of review will you read? That other than you get a 95,
I can answer.
that you can respect.
Okay, I can answer this
That you can
question.
respect.
I can answer this question. First of all, the numerical reviews are irrelevant. I mean, look, if let's say, for example, I listen to the Ash Holes, and I like all the kinds of cigars that Mike Damari likes, or I listen to Cigar Authority, and I like all the kinds of cigars that Barry likes, and sometimes, Jonathan likes cigars that I think are kind of average.
You use their palate as a.
If I align to a certain guy,
Sure.
and that guy says, man, this is a really, really good cigar,
Sure.
then I have to find it, right? Because I know I align with what he the number doesn't really matter as much as him saying. There's two things that a really good cigar review should have: background on the cigar, information about it. You know, where does the brand name come from? What size is it? How much does it cost? Tell me about the company. Tell me why it's named this. Those things are all interesting.
Yeah, 'cause we cover that.
And then the
stuff.
only other thing that really matters is, would I spend my own money on this and buy it again?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's okay to have in the humidor, or I always have to have this in the humidor, or I'm buying box after box after box, right?
Gotcha.
To me, those are really important aspects. It's not a lot of information for some guy you don't know to say that he would buy it, but at least he's saying, you know, I bought this with my own money, I would buy it again. And in fact, I will buy it again.
For the first maybe 3 years of the show, we're about to be 5 years in, we did not rate numerically our cigars. One was a lack of confidence. Maybe who are we to put a number on a cigar?
0 to 100, what do you give Casino?
A 10. A fucking 10.
13, baby.
Out of 100?
Out of 10.
Well, see, you just fucked up the whole system.
Well, I'm on the Billy Bob scale.
Okay, zero to 100. What do you give Casino?
Can you use another movie?
I'm just saying. I'm gonna give you 3.
How about Heat? Ooh, Heat. 'cause
Okay,
we did Heat.
0 to 100. What do you give Goodfellas?
I give it a good 92.
Okay, 0 to 100. What do you give The Irishman?
I give it a 77.
And I can't argue with those numbers.
If it was just us sitting down though at the end of each show, because we have a spreadsheet, we sit down at the end of every episode. If it was just a square and we each wrote a number in it, I think it's a 96. But no, we actually go through about 10 different categories.
Right.
Each one's worth different amounts of, you know, for instance, the price point isn't as highly, that number doesn't count as much as the flavor. The aroma doesn't count as much as the construction.
If you can cut it light and draw through it, it gets a 50. Right?
Well, what about the difficulty to make?
If it doesn't taste like shit, it gets 20 more points, right?
Well, now you're up to 70.
Right. If it tastes pretty good compared to the last couple things I've smoked, it gets another 10 points.
Now you're up to an 80.
And then between 85 and 95 is where most everything lives.
But let me finish. The reason we did start them was because we do feature a lot of new cigars because we want to try them. We feature some stuff that's been out for a while, but there's a lot of especially when we started, a lot of young companies, and we got the impression that ratings, a numerical rating in particular, if we really liked a cigar, by coming up with some system to give it a numerical rating, it's a little extra work for us, but that number actually means something and it's tangible to them. Not necessarily like you're not going to go into Humidor and say, you know, rated 93 by the Tuesday Night Cigar Club, but the consensus comes into play there. And we were like, you know what, if it can help out a small company to get a 90 something rating, and we honestly rated that, why can't we take the extra time to actually come up with a system we're comfortable with and give it a numerical rating?
The comments that I've received have all been, hey, I tried this cigar because y'all made it sound pretty sexy and cool. I've never heard anybody say, I tried this cigar because y'all rated it a 96. What has happened,
Cody got butter in that cigar.
Before we had that number system, we actually had a lot of vendors saying, hey, it would help if y'all had a number system.
Okay, but look, going back to, I understand what you're saying, but going back to, you know, I watch your Instagram. You don't post a lot of cigars, right? So I don't know what you really buy on a regular basis or smoke on a regular basis, except that when you tag our cigars.
I've gotten really lazy on Instagram, which is not the proper business model for a influencer, but I never really thought of us that way. We approach all three subjects equally: cigars, beer, and movies. To where, you know, no, we're not on there every day posting what we're smoking, because honestly, most days I'm smoking. I'm on the go, or I'm not in a situation where it's going to look sexy.
I mean, I own it.
But what I've gravitated towards this year, and we see our numbers have actually spiked, I post something on Instagram, it gets X amount of like, fine. Our Insta stories is where the action's at. I post what I'm smoking on Insta stories and mixed in with, 5 or 6 other things throughout the day. Those numbers quadruple whatever I'm posting on Instagram itself. Sure. Which is kind of something that we just kind of discovered by accident. I was like, you know what? This is a tool that we're not using. How about I just start?
Oh, that's where it's at.
That's where it's at. Our Insta stories numbers are through the roof.
Well, Skip, why don't you talk about the Dogfish, the 120? Remember that conversation we had with the guys at Jester King, where he was talking about when Dogfish 120 came out, and he was talking about how great it was.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that beer.
No, that's not what I'm going with.
Yeah.
Where I'm going with was where he talked it up, right? It's like the way that they double drop the hops. And this,
Yeah,
that, and the other,
exactly. Yeah.
Right. So the technicality of how difficult the cigar is to make, and where I'm going with that is when he made this.
As long as it's
beer,
true. As long as it's true.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of bullshit.
Of smoke and mirrors, right?
Right.
But he made this beer sound like it was going to be one of the best beers that you might.
This is the
possibly ever
Dogfish
have.
beer?
The 120, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And this is back when it first came out. So we tracked it down, we got it, and it's super hoppy, and it was like, bleh.
And it doesn't keep.
No, I don't know. I had one that actually turned into like a barley wine. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
About 3-4 years later. But
Yeah.
where I'm going with that is like, how do you know
The backstory.
from a reviewer, right? Like how difficult it is to make a La Campana or to make the craft.
Well,
or something
and I don't
like
think
that.
you-
And
I
how do
don't-
you keep that? How do you add that into?
I mean, I don't think this is the Olympics where you get difficulty for the triple.
Well, no, but
what's the
I think
dive
to Mike's
from
point,
the
Skip, you brought up
movie?
the
Well,
the triple
difficulty
Lindy?
in
The triple Lindy.
to Mike's point, Skip. I mean, you brought up the difficulty in making the cigar, and unless we sit down and talk to Pete Johnson for 2 hours, we did the La Verite, his single farm blend, and unless we actually sat down with him and got him to tell us for 30 minutes how this blend came to be, how the Garcia farm where he got all the blends from. I mean, that was a 15-minute story. How are we going to get that?
Sure.
Yeah,
on,
so
on every cigar we do,
whenever
unless
you
we
have a
invite
backstory.
every
Right, okay, but let me tell you the two things that bug me the most. When someone says this cigar is too hard to draw, that's also subjective opinion because, for example, if you're smoking one of our Mode 5s, it's going to start out really tight, then it's going to open up. But that's part of by design. It's going to force you to smoke it slower at the point.
Mm-hmm.
And we also cut off 1/4 of an inch of the point of a Perfecto because as a cigar smoker, I would always cut that off anyway. It's just a bullshit thing. It just makes it too hard to smoke. But for it to smoke properly in the middle, it's going to be a little tight in the beginning, right? And then the other thing is the burn, which almost 90% of the time goes back to conditioning. And everybody thinks that you're supposed to condition cigars the same way, when in reality, almost all of our cigars are heavier tobacco from the inside to the outside, and they have to be at lower humidities. If you try to smoke one of our cigars at 70% or 72%, it's not going to smoke the way it's supposed to smoke.
Right.
It should be closer to 60 than 70, right?
I've got a trivia question for our Facebook Live viewers. You ready, Tut?
Well, what are we giving away?
Tut or Skip? What are we
Is
giving
this
away?
a hard question? Let's
Sean,
do it.
what are we giving away?
Let's do an eco vessel.
Yeah,
gone.
nice.
We'll do a growler, a beer
One of
growler.
the big ones.
A growler. There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
At what level humidity should the cigar that Skip is smoking right now, the LH, the Neanderthal,
Neanderthal
LH, at what from the men behind RoMa Craft, at what percentage humidity is that the ideal for the LH?
I know the answer to that.
I know you do.
You're not supposed to give it away.
Let the guesses commence. If you guess correctly, you'll win a growler.
Yeah, but the bad thing is I don't know what that is, and I'm the one smoking.
Well, hang on a second.
I'll give you the answer.
You gotta
We'll
jot
give you
it
the
down or
answer in
something,
a
right?
little bit.
I'll tell you what it. I'm not looking at the answers. I'll tell you what it is. But yeah, but that's my point. Is so to your original question. People who are reviewing cigars seriously and charging people ad money,
Right.
they should spend some significant amount of time down in Dominican, down in Nicaragua, getting to know tobaccos. I mean, when I first came to Nicaragua in 2000, my second trip there in 2010,
Yes.
November 2010, I walked in to buy broadleaf and said, "Man, that looks good to me," and I was informed that I'm a dumbass and that it's 10 months from being ready. right? Little did I know. I've spent millions of dollars on broadleaf since then. Believe me, I know now.
But don't you think?
But Gus Cura has told me I was a dumbass no less than 30 times over my first 3 years in Nicaragua. So, and I spent every single day for 3 years in Nicaragua. I don't expect Coop or Halfwell or those guys to be able to do that. But within a couple of weeks of real, like for example, Mike from Cigar Hustler, he does his Patreon thing, and they do a review system on their Patreon thing, which I think is pretty solid the way they look at it. But they look at things like how much does a cigar weigh, how dense is it, how high are the primings.
How does that factor into Patreon?
He does.
They get additional information if you subscribe.
He does the reviews only on his Patreon.
If you're a Patreon subscriber, you get
a little bit more
like a
deeper,
secret,
get a little
deeper into information.
A secret podcast. But the thing about it is that he's been down there. He's been through my little school of tobacco probably for 15 or 20 days in the last 4 years, and at least from the little that I could teach him, or Esteban could teach him. He can identify the tobaccos that are in his cigar. He knows good fermented tobacco from not properly fermented tobacco. He knows when a blend is not balanced. He knows that it's not burning because the bunch is not done correctly. Those kinds of things, just saying I had to fucking touch up the burn a couple times. Fuck you. I've smoked near a fan in my car. If you have to touch up the burn, it's not even worth mentioning. You're just a dick if you
mentioned on social media that you had to touch up a burn line, you're a dickhead.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like OCD, right? It's like people just sit there and just kind of torch, right?
Yeah.
Just
Plus, I have no idea. I have
Yeah.
no idea what. Okay, so like for example, we got 2 or 3 pictures this week from people, or probably 10, from people who saying that the Fomorian cracked or the Cameroon cracked. Well, that's going to happen if you take a cigar that shipped a week ago into a cigar store and you took it outside in 30-degree fucking weather.
Especially that Candela.
Of course,
Yeah,
it's
of
going to
course.
happen. And now we do everything possibly to keep that from happening. And I smoke them all day long, and it causes no problem.
Well, you mentioned 2010, your second trip down Nicaragua, where you did a lot of your education. I guess to me, as a cigar maker, reading these reviews and being like, dude, you don't know.
Well, first of all, I am a cigar maker.
That's what I mean.
And which that means
With-
something to me.
With
right?
But when you mentioned 2010, it just kind of resonated with me because 2010, I had a movie released that I directed on DVD, so the reviews started coming in, and my first instinct was, when have you ever been behind a fucking camera? When have you ever framed a shot? When have you ever worked with an actor who's having a mental breakdown on the side of the thing?
That's a great example, because on one level, it's like, I buy cigars, I smoke cigars, I don't have to know shit about it. I know what I like, I know what I don't like.
Those that do, those that don't review.
But I'm
That's
saying,
kind of
if I watched your movie, I don't know shit about movie making. If
Sure.
I watched your movie and I could go, this is not entertaining, it's a art student trying to make something interesting, the cuts don't make any sense, the music's bullshit.
Did you write a review for my movie?
But if I said all those things, I'm saying it completely as an amateur,
Correct.
who's watched thousands of movies.
Correct, but as a cigar manufacturer, when you're reading these reviews by guys who don't know the process, don't know the nuts and
If
bolts.
I'm going to start commenting on the cinematography of this movie, I got to know something about fucking cinematography before I could say as a viewer, the whole cut sequences were
No,
awkward.
you could say this. I thought that scene was a little dark. I had a little trouble seeing some things.
You could say that.
You're okay with that.
Exactly.
If you're like, I thought Martin Scorsese should have moved the camera a little bit this way, you're an asshole.
Right.
I mean,
right.
They're-
Right. Or I don't like the costumes. It's like, okay,
well,
You should have put the bunch on this part. instead of that
ideally,
part.
all reviewers would have be able to get knees deep in the process and a little bit more education. I think we both agree on that.
Well, I think what you're saying is it would enlighten them a little bit on how difficult it is to make it over and over and over again.
I'll say it.
And with
Hold
beers,
on.
And with beers too. I mean, you guys travel to enough breweries.
Yeah, but breweries is almost like a science.
And I couldn't. And I mean,
it's very technical.
and I couldn't make a
Very
fucking
technical.
beer, but I can drink one.
I'm with you.
And I know what an Imperial Stout's supposed to taste like. I know if it's too carbonated. I know if it's flat. I know if an IPA is gone bad. I know it's basic things, right? Because we've bought tens of thousands of dollars of beer,
Sure.
or hundreds of thousands of dollars of bourbon.
get an answer?
Now, as it turns out,
Yeah, the winner is Randy Griggs, 62.
62.
Randy Griggs.
See, Randy's been paying attention.
There you go, Randy.
By the way, brilliant beer guy, Randy.
Is it?
You can learn a lot about beer.
Oh, wait,
from
you
Randy.
know Randy? He's
Yeah.
disqualified. friend of Roma.
He actually has he has a thing on Cigar Dojo called From A to Z.
Oh, is he doing making
Yeah,
his way through
with Rob? Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, going back to what you're saying, I think if Cigar Coop came to my factory for 5 days, I wouldn't walk around telling him how great I am for 5 days. I would put him in front of a pile of tobacco and say, learn something.
Yeah.
And what did you detect? What, based on all of your smoking of cigars, let me tell you, at least from an objective perspective, why this is better than that. What you should be looking for from an objective perspective. And here are some things. If you smoke just jalapa for a week, now when you smoke a cigar and you detect jalapa, it's because you've smoked a lot of jalapa.
Yeah.
It's not because you've smoked a cigar that someone told you was jalapa that you think you understand it. Now you know you understand it.
By the
right?
way, we went to years ago at TJ's. We went to a blending seminar with James Brown, and Tut. He was giving us individual. What are the small? Just the samples of the individual tobaccos, and Tut smoked the little thing of jalapa, and we thought we'd never get him back. That's all he wanted to smoke. He was like going around asking.
That's the Hilaro.
That's the thing. You either love it or you hate it.
Oh, he loved it. He was
What's
going around like
your
a
next beer,
crackhead
Sean?
trying to get everybody else's samples.
Next beer?
Yeah.
So base that.
All that fancy binder and wrapper. Just give me the Lajero.
Yeah, it was like a little cheroot.
The Boston
The
Stout.
Hoppa was pretty nice too, but I just went Lajero theme.
Well, super aromatic, right?
Oh no, you like the Ometepe. That's what you like.
Ometepe.
I really
Actually, it's
really
not
like this
Ometepe.
beer,
It was
by the way.
It was very good. I actually.
I was a fan of the American better.
Oh, this one
Really?
actually has a little-
Yeah.
It's milder.
There was a little
There's a
too
lot
much
of
the chili
adjuncts in
afterfix.
this. Yeah. I still have it on my palate. The chili. It like basically like you licked a spoon after.
Okay.
It's dry. It makes it dry a little bit.
That, and I'm a fan of
What do you
more
want?
of a cream-based style stout. The Imperials that shade that way I like. The Imperials
We'll pass that
that
down
go a little
that way
too
first.
medicinal.
Yak Boy, we have another beer headed down your way.
Oh, wait, this is not the one.
Oh, that is not the one.
This is not the one. They should be in the food drawer.
I think I put that.
Okay. Well, while we're
Drink
getting
that one too after.
while we're getting the next beer, and Mike and I are getting which bourbon is this, Mike?
Oh, this is the Blanton's Japanese release.
Oh, the Japanese. I've been waiting for this one.
Dude, I can't tell you how fucking crazy Mike has gone with the bourbon.
Dude,
You know what?
have
I've seen
no-
I've seen his
I
pictures.
see
I-
the.
Oh, so in the Austin Bourbon Group, I got flamed the other day because they saw a picture that I posted, and there's all these unopened bottles, right?
Yeah.
So this guy called me a fucking hoarder, like fucking hoarder.
It's
I'm like,
Austin. Everybody's too sensitive.
Why you in your feelings? Because
I saw
that.
somebody nail you. You got
That's
new,
hate.
and
That's
like
hate. That's hateration.
like a new display case was beautiful. And they're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you don't want to put them like that. The corks are gonna melt.
Well, I didn't
and-
know that. I mean, but they did say that, right? But here's the thing: if you're gonna make a bourbon case, then why did you build it that way? I mean,
It's a good question.
right? Now, wine is supposed to be that way because the
Mike has
wine,
amassed probably one of the premier private bourbon collections in Austin.
I would
It's
say
effing
it's probably
impressive.
about 350 unique
Oh
bottles.
my good God. Well, I told Mike before
In
we
my car, there's probably about 8 bottles I just picked up today. No bullshit.
empty.
No, full. I don't really drink.
No, that's your
Uh,
car.
This is what you get when you have fuck you row money.
I'm glad Mike's here tonight.
Cheers.
Cheers. I only.
Yeah,
He's
like
drinking
to
out of a
fucking
cigar
roll.
dojo glass, by the
That's
way.
right. Oh,
Oh, we don't talk about other
okay.
podcasts.
Well,
Cody, sucks.
All right, so this is our beer. What do we? It's called the Whole Cigar, which seemed good for the Neanderthal.
The whole cigar is also from Cigar City Brewing from Tampa. This is a bourbon barrel.
This is also
That
from
was the
Rudy,
second.
by the way.
I much prefer.
It says a bourbon barrel aged and Spanish cedar rested Imperial Stout.
So they put it in Spanish
Spanish
cedar.
cedar.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is
I just want
technical.
to ask the audience, how's that barbecue?
It's a 13% ABV.
So 13. We're getting up into the
All right,
RoMa.
now-
And this
now
one
I'm-
does
now I'm
actually
willing to-
have a little bit. It's a 35 IBUs, so it has
Okay.
just a
For
little.
IBU fan as myself, I'm looking forward to that.
He needs a pour.
So this is a little less viscous, I think, than the one we just drank.
As this comes also from Cigar City, their own, the barrel-aged Imperial Stout draws inspiration from the whole cigar. From cap to tuck, bourbon barrels impart notes of vanilla and spice frequently found in cigars, while the Spanish cedar, often used to build humidors, impart notes of sandalwood and black
Ties in
pepper.
with Cigar City.
Sandalwood and black pepper.
That kind of
So sounds like a half-wheel
A lot of
review.
bullshit right there.
Where's the pizza crusts? Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to this one. Well, I think we touched on the ideal circumstances for a cigar reviewer. That's kind of what I was, and I respect that answer.
I mean, I don't know. I would like to see from the comments if people agree, but
Well, people tend to be very harsh.
I am the
reviewers.
premier reviewer of cigar reviewers.
They get, yes, you are, but people tend to really blast, especially Charlie on Half Wheel, and
Can you make us some plates, Sean? So we've got some Style Switch barbecue.
In the house.
let's give them a little.
So we've
shout
got
out,
some
shall we?
brisket. We've got some beef rib. We've got Switch sausage.
Chop.
So we got to start. If we're drinking 13s, we got to start eating a little bit of beef.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing, though, right? What's challenging about the whole cigar industry from a reviewer perspective, is Skip and I probably smoke 6, 7, 8 cigars a day, right?
10, 12.
10, 12, who's counting? But from a reviewer perspective, I would guess they probably smoke 1 or 2 a week.
Some of them.
A lot of them, right? And so now you can say they have a cleaner palate. You can say, there's probably a lot of things you probably could say. But I guess what it comes down to is,
So I have to
how
touch,
do you
I have to
how do
touch
you
up my
become?
Neanderthal.
Oh,
Hold
yeah,
on.
right. It's not got a little edge. How do you know? How do you trust that palate? Like, so here's the thing: if you're going to review something, how do I know that you are the all-knowing?
Well, it's just like I
either
go
like
back,
it or you don't.
I go back to the analogy of the movie reviewer. I have 3 guys who review movies that I follow because I tend to.
Harry Knowles.
He's not around anymore, brother. He is.
Rip Harry Knowles.
He is. No, he's gone. I can't rip him. He's dead. He's toast.
What are you
Yeah.
saying? He's saying.
No, he got what he had coming.
Oh. Ooh,
He was the
shots
most
fired.
unlikely victim of the Me Too movement.
I would
saw
have
that
said the
coming?
most likely.
Who saw that coming?
I mean, I would have said I met him at Alamo one night. He tried to grab my ass.
you know what?
Honka.
I will say this: I was never more happy to see somebody wheeled off into the sunset.
Yeah.
Ain't
it cool news, by the way, is what we're talking about.
I don't even think that's a sight anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. He imploded beautifully, miserably. Yeah. Fuck him.
Epically?
Yeah.
Who are your 3 guys?
To answer your question, Mike, who are we? Who are you? I think like we do with cigar blenders. Let me put that out there. You tend to find, if you've been smoking for a decade or more, you tend to find manufacturers who their palates suit you. You're like, you know what? They put this out. I'm probably going to like it. You find reviewers for movies that, hey, you know what? So-and-so liked it. I tend to jive with his reviews. I tend to kind of fall in line. But it takes time. It takes...
Sure.
Over the last few years, I watch a movie and then I read his review and it's like, we're kind of on the same page. But I've never not watched a movie I wanted to see because of a bad review. I've never not smoked a cigar that I was excited about because it got a shitty review. I don't let reviews...
The ones that have been the most off are the crowdsourced reviews, like Rotten Tomatoes. This is like an 80, 90 something on Rotten
never
Tomatoes.
in my life...
I don't know. The Dave Chappelle got it was crazy, right?
Well, the angry public had their say in
Well,
that.
no, what I'm saying is that the people who are anti Dave Chappelle were the loudest,
Oh,
right?
They're the loudest and the most
Right.
vocal, sure.
And the people who were pro Dave Chappelle were kind of quiet, just like
well, because they're just lazy and like to have a good time.
right. They could care less.
They
one
could
way or
care
the other,
less.
right?
Hey, you know what? Watch the Dave Chappelle thing. It was really good. Guess what? I'm not going to get on fucking anything and write a review because I'm happy.
But it didn't. Did it influence?
Well, when
whether
I
you
bought
liked it or not?
air conditioning filters from Amazon, and they asked me to put a review up, I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Of course.
I have no fucking idea if this is a good one or not.
And to answer your point, there's a lot of cigars I take out into the corner of No Hope with the intent on reviewing, and I light it up, and I'll be like, you know what? I'm just not there tonight. Like either what I had for dinner, or my mood, or I'm not going to give this thing a fair shake.
Well, let me ask you. So do you
That's
remember
a
the
good thing, by the way. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say it.
Correct. What's the point?
So do you remember the conversation you had with Dan Carr back whenever?
Yeah, of course.
Right. How many units of the
Yeah,
Macanudo
of course.
did they?
The Macanudo Ascot.
Right. So they sell.
Thank you.
I don't know how many units of like a Toro size, like 2 million, 3, 4 million.
Who knows?
Right. But my point is,
Bud Light.
but they sell a gazillion. So if you were looking at overall sales, how does that so if the majority of the consumers who smoke that cigar versus this one, the one you're smoking, the home, right? If you looked or soapbox, right? If you looked at the numbers, like wouldn't that mean that based on sales penetration in the market that would be a better cigar based on sales?
I mean, Billy Ray was #1 on the country list.
Achy
for a long
Breaky
time.
Heart, that one,
Yeah.
that was a great song. I'm just kidding.
Well,
Millions of people bought it.
Some gave some gave all.
What was the other one? The hometown. What was it? The rap
Old
song,
Town Road.
right? Like that's a horrible song.
It is. It's a terrible song. My kid listens
But
to
the
it.
amount of
Thank
downloads
you.
and people who
Thank you so
listen
much.
to it, does that mean that it's a great song based on sales penetration?
Have you ever heard the song Baby Shark?
I don't know.
Have you ever listened to Baby
million-
Shark
a
and then
million
gone to
times?
Bahamas and seen Baby Sharks?
Oh no.
It was huge with the 2-year-olds.
Oh, I imagine. I think our daughter's about the same age, 3.
To this day, Fiorella sings Baby Shark.
Well, on that note, boys, talking about lists, talking about what goes into those lists, I think it's probably a good time, as I'm about to put some brisket in my mouth,
All the
to
beef.
reveal the Tuesday Night Cigar
That's
Club.
a cute little plate you got there.
I'm strictly brisket.
Hey, that's keto approved.
Cody, go pack the gear.
This is where the doc is sorely missed.
Yes, he is.
Oh, we could talk Cowboys. Oh, he got a little bit of sore throat.
I can't talk about the Cowboys without getting emotional this
Heard
year.
that.
They're back. They Texas.
Well,
Easy.
Here is
Too soon.
We still them boys.
Tut.
Yeah.
Anybody on Facebook Live want to guess our top 3 cigars of the year?
I don't know.
No, that was my kind of cue to ask I'm putting it out there. If you can guess our top 3 cigars of the year, you will win.
What?
But we're giving out a gift for your top 3.
A Tuesday Night Cigar Club coaster.
That's weak. What do you want to give them, Skip?
How about
How about a RoMa
Ashbox by Derek Cigar Rest?
A cigar rest. There you go. You're outside smoking. You're in your car smoking. You're anywhere smoking.
With
you
a
set
patch,
that-
with some patches
with
and
some
stickers.
patches. There we go. All right, start putting in your. I'm going to go slow through this list so you have some time, but you got to work fast.
What happens if nobody gets it? Then nobody wins.
If you
Nobody
guess
wins.
any of the 3, you'll get something
Okay.
from that. That's why I picked something small.
Okay. My God, that's good barbecue. Styles and Switch.
Pussy, pizza.
Travis Tritt.
There's no such thing as bad. There's just the good and the better. I had another P.
Yeah, I was waiting for the other P. Pussy,
OPP?
pizza.
Pussy
Pokemon?
pizza and
Pokemon? No, it doesn't work.
Pilsner.
No, there's no good Pilsners. Okay. Here is the Tuesday Night Cigar Club's top 10 cigars that we smoked on the show. Again, if you went through the website and you picked out what we rated, it's not going to be the same because we actually revisit cigars throughout the year, and this is what we came up with as far as what we went back to, what we smoked more of. This is where we are at. Again, not the best cigars out there, the best cigars we smoked on the show. Number 10, I feel like David Letterman. The Buckeye Land from Crowned Heads. It was a Drew Estate collaboration with Willie Herrera, but we love that cigar. Really good.
Never smoked that one.
Really good cigar. And I should mention, it did not get on the show this year. The La Colusion, their new collaboration with Drew Estate, is very good as well. But that was our
I'm a big fan of Miguel, John Huber, Willie.
We met John Huber at the Kentucky Barn Smoker this year, and man, what a class act! That guy's awesome. He's really, really good. Good people. At number 9, talk about innovation. You talk about unique characters. It is the Nugs from Yasum Crawl.
Which nug?
The Habano.
No, have you had the 100 milligram?
No, it was the mild. It was the more mild one. It was the, which we did not notice any kind of stress relief or muscle relaxation. We didn't. It's just a good cigar.
Here's what I can tell you. What I know from experience, because I spent some time with Risty in Colorado. If you smoke a nug while getting a blowjob, you definitely feel the effects.
Cody, are you taking notes?
I am now.
It's a pleasurable experience, no matter how you look at it.
Well, it's a good cigar, no matter how much you look at it. CBD aside, it was just a really enjoyable smoke, and we really liked it. Number 8, we already mentioned it, the Wasabi from Espinosa. Track them down. Track them down if you can. It's the best Candela we've had in the 5 years we've been doing Candelas on the show, and really, really enjoyable. And number 7, we have a tie. But they kind of tie together.
Ties are such a cop-out.
Well, they tie together, Skip. It was the Partagas Legend by General Cigar Company and the Partagas Serie D No. 4 Cuban cigar.
This is Matt trying to get General Cigar ad money.
That ship has sailed, my friend. No hashtag ad on this. We get paid nothing. It was the Partagas Legend was an honest to God. We really, really enjoyed that cigar. And the Partagas, the Cuban, the Serie D No. 4, it's a classic. And it was one of the few Cubans we've had that actually was good, was solid. We really.
You must have had a good batch.
Yeah, we did. It was. We really liked that cigar. But yeah, go check out the Partagas Legend. It kind of caught us by surprise how much we liked that one. Number 6, Tut. Can you guess it?
No.
Okay. The Norteño
Hey, Sean.
Ooh.
by Drew Estate.
I like me that.
Can I get some more
Norteño.
sausage and brisket and coleslaw?
We smoked, obviously, Drew Estate's a sponsor. We've smoked so many Drew Estate cigars this year, new blends, but I purposely featured the Norteño on the show when we spoke to Willie because it is my favorite, or the Drew Estate cigar I smoke the most of.
I like the little one, the little Norteño.
Yeah, the little
line.
Petit Corona.
Yeah.
The Norteño is, I think, one of the most kind of unmentioned awesome cigars out there that both Tut and I mean, Tut, we kind of smoke more of those than, by far any more Drew Estate cigar, but the Norteño is just, the limited edition Churchill's really good, that the Petit Corona is really awesome. We're just really big fans. So that is our number 6. And then we have our top 5.
Hang on a second. Is that your highest rated Drew Estate cigar?
It is.
Oh, I don't know, man. That's the
Don't get us in trouble, man.
The TAA that Willie did, the Maduro, that was pretty good.
The Herrera Steli blend?
Yeah.
That was really good.
That was really good.
I haven't smoked that one.
You mentioned earlier, Mike, if we're friends
Wait,
with...
is that his plate or my plate?
It's my plate.
Oh man, why? See,
had them cut
Rosales
it up.
always eats first.
I had them. They handed you the plate first. I just had them slice it up because I didn't want to put the whole brisket in my mouth and just like.
You mentioned earlier, Mike, if you're friends or friendly
Sure.
with the manufacturer, or if someone pissed you off and was
Right.
mean to
With the
you,
beer.
how does that affect you getting him on show? With Drew Estate,
Wait, did you just say my show?
no, our show.
Yeah. This is Tuttle's show.
Tuttle
I turn the mic off, this whole thing goes dark.
Tuttle's Tuesday night,
Anyways, you were saying?
Gonna need a lot more of this stuff.
You're all right.
featuring Matt Cade.
Oh, now I'm like the guys,
Featuring
like
the doctor.
not like Saturday Night Live, like starring. I'm the three dudes at the end, featuring Matt Cade.
Well, you're the guy who talks the most, but it's a Tuttle production.
Waka waka waka. No, you got to be with Drew Estate being our show's primary
Special guest
sponsor.
star, the doc.
You got to be careful. And while we give them a lot of obviously exposure on our, when we're out on the road with them, we do this, and when we like a cigar, we give them this.
You've sold out. It's okay. I mean, we
This
completely understand.
no
You
sellout.
gotta pay for this equipment. It's expensive.
This year it is fucking expensive.
Yeah.
But this year I wanted to get them on the show because I really just love the Norteño blend, and we wanted to talk to Willie, and could have done a lot of new stuff, but
I mean, that's an example where they have so many resources now to do so many interesting things, but their hands are tied by the big corporate kind of people on the FDA stuff. I went up to Drew Estate the last time I was there, I think maybe 6 months ago, and Willie was working on something which I thought was really good, and it was like, but I can't make this because it doesn't fit the FDA kind of things. So, not to say that, I smoked one of the Acid 20 this year. I'm not a flavored cigar smoker.
sure,
Once I got over the kind of initial,
it's enjoyable.
it got not bad. It was really good cigar.
No, and we're very open about that. I'm not a flavored cigar guy either, but
I caught so much shit for smoking that.
I saw a lot of
Yeah.
The 20 that you posted?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you just getting nailed
Yeah.
on it.
I'm like, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's enjoyable, and especially I actually
Did you ever smoke any of the old El Titan de Bronze,
not the
the
old ones.
Redemption Maduros?
Not the old ones.
Oh man, I remember Willie was in like his little 10x10 booth next to the sisters. I don't remember their name, but this had to be 12, 13 years ago, and I smoked. That was like one of the best cigars I smoked that year.
07, 08.
And knowing like what they have to do in that little place and all that stuff, it was even more the better.
Yeah, and the fact they're still making them there, they're still making the Esteli line there is
They still make the Redemption Maduro.
I don't know.
If they do, it's amazing to me that nobody talks about it because that's a great cigar.
But yeah, one of the privileges of Challenger State is being around Willie and kind of listening to him, because he's very frank with his, people think of Master Blender as this sexy, I'm just creating these new, Willy Wonka, I'm creating these new masterpieces every day, and it's all, but it's like, no, it's a grind. 80% of my job is consistency. I'm
Is
smoking
blend maintenance? Yeah.
is maintaining the existing
I would
blends.
say 90%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's like, that's not sexy, but that's what I do.
Yeah, and a big factor that's even harder.
Yeah, because what happens, Willie's got a palette, and there's going to be some stuff that he's making for portfolios that's outside of that palette.
Right.
Imagine having to always try to maintain consistency on stuff that's out of your palette. I think that's impressive.
Well, here's the thing. Let's say we open a pack of tobacco randomly that has a problem. We can always catch that before it ever hits a cigar. At Drew Estate, they're opening hundreds a day.
Sure.
If you catch it at 10 in the morning, you've already made 20,000 cigars with that shitty tobacco.
Yeah. And when you hear the
So-
stories about how much they have to toss when something's not right,
Yeah, it's
staggering.
The,
I mean,
the
it's-
speed. I think they make 150,000 cigars a day now.
Yeah.
We make 4,000, 5,000 cigars a day.
Yeah.
It's a whole different animal.
It really is, and to hear Willie's take on it, he's very good at removing the aura of the world's most interesting man, making these. He's very humble about it. He's like, no, it's a grind. It's been really cool to kind of experience
What if
that.
his redemption cigar is his Willie Herrera cigar? Ooh.
It would be. I think it would be hard. I mean, I don't know. They could absolutely do it. I don't know why he would give it to Drew Estate, but yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Okay. Are you guys ready for the top 5? Has anybody guessed our top 3 yet, Tut?
Not the total top 3, but there's been a couple of guesses of one in there.
Okay. Number 5, the Kudzu Lustrum by Southern Draw. Tut has been a Kudzu diehard from the time 5 years ago, I think he smoked.
Yep.
They,
Big fan of their
they just came
Perfecto.
out of the gate, and that was you were like latched onto that Kudzu like nobody's business. Cody, you liked it. I was a little slow to the Kudzu blend, but for me, the Lustrum really brought out some stuff I didn't get from the original, and for Tut, I think it just amplified what you liked about the Lustrum.
I'm a big fan of their Perfectos. For some reason, they can get into it and make a really good Perfecto. And I thought the Lustrum was an extension of that good brand.
We all really liked it.
that's made by AJ.
Yes.
Yeah, all his stuff.
Robert's a local Austin guy.
He
Yes,
is.
he is.
A little local love. No RoMa Craft cigars on here so far. But
It's okay. We don't.
Cody
we don't,
Packett.
we don't pay. We don't pay for
we'll
love.
see how that top 20 list of bloggers goes.
I mean, the 65 people that don't actually read your top 10 list.
I got numbers, Skip. I'll show you off,
Okay.
off mic. Number 4, the La Creme by Crowned Heads.
The little Bellicoso. That's a good. The
It
box
was-
press.
It was the Bellicoso.
I think I just smoked one of those yesterday.
It has been around for a couple years, but
Love it.
we paired it expertly with Hamburger, the motion picture,
Oh, yes.
1984.
So the first stout we drank is a lot like that cigar. It's supposed to be dark and heavy, but it's a little bit lighter than you
Yep.
would think it is.
I like it.
Yeah. good
To me,
cigar.
the La Creme is a great dessert cigar. Which obviously it was intended, but it looked so much scarier than it actually was.
Have you ever smoked a La Creme followed by a brulee?
I have not. Ate a brulee or smoked a brulee?
The Sober Mesa brulee.
No. But maybe, folks, this will give you a clue into our top 3. We've yet to mention the Sober Mesa brulee. All right, our top 3. You guys ready? Tut, you want to give them a few more minutes?
No, it's closed. It's closed.
It's closed.
You sit on your ass. It's too late.
All right. Number 3. We just talked about them, and they once again snuck in there because, honestly, I would say there's about 3 cigars over the last 5 years that have made an impression on us where we keep revisiting. This is honestly one of the cigars that I purchase the most. We talk about reviewers going back and buying the most. This is, for me personally, and I believe for Yak Boy, maybe one that we buy the most of as far as the core line. Number 3 is the Rose of Sharon Desert Rose by Southern Draw. I'm a huge Rose of Sharon fan. It's been my favorite Connecticut for a while now. And we all thought the Desert Rose added just kind of a little more strength to a profile that didn't feature much strength at all, but it kept some of that kind of vanilla and the woodsiness. We kind of blew us away. We really liked the Desert Rose. And the only Connecticut this year we liked more, number 2, the Sober Mesa Brulee, which we paid for. I believe from cigarhustler.com.
The EC Goodness, by the way, came out this year.
We didn't get a press release on that one.
Better than both of those. We don't do press releases.
How would we know about it?
I don't know. Do your fucking job.
Oh, yeah.
Don't be spoon fed.
At number 2.5, the EC Goodness.
Ah, see now?
Gotcha.
Boom.
Boom.
See, and I had no idea that was coming.
Don't you feel like an asshole?
I had no idea it was coming. I do feel like an asshole.
That's not on our list.
Oh, okay. So now you feel like an asshole.
Actually, one of the Intemperances made our top 3, I think, 2 years ago. I'd have to go back or find someone to go.
Oh.
That's a good trivia question. Make the listeners go back and find that one.
Coincidentally, you didn't make my top 10 list either.
Well,
Last year.
What was that the Roses shared?
The Rosales Sharon Desert Rose was number 3. Their new take on their we just really like the Rose of Sharon, the original blend. And then number 2 was Steve Saka's Sober Mesa Brulee.
Is it because you like Sharon? Is that what it is?
She is awesome,
She's a sweet lady.
but we do most of our hanging out with Robert.
Okay.
He's got better hair.
You guys say sweet. You guys say sweet and tip. We say maybe sweet and binder, but whatever it is, the brulee was awesome.
Because you don't know anything about making cigars. But that's all right.
I know if you think.
You know about smoking cigars.
How was
Watch-
that barbecue,
watching
though?
movies.
That barbecue was fantastic.
It was cold. It was a little
Whoa, we talk a
greasy.
lot. We talk
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
So
It was
little
all
greasy.
right. Okay.
By the way, the 12 days of meats right now are going on at Style Switch.
yeah.
Today,
Yeah, I saw your post on that.
that is like one of the most brilliant things ever. If you did all 12 days of the top 12 days of Christmas meat or whatever,
Do I have to know about the process of smoking meat to appreciate?
No, you just either like
No,
it or you don't. But here's the thing,
That
though.
I can just eat and say I like. Cigars I can't just smoke and say I like.
They didn't. We didn't tonight. They didn't. They were out of the ribs, so we went with the prime rib. Is that right?
yeah, I didn't like it too much. I don't like the prime rib. But tomorrow, they have the biscuit from the biscuit company with the chopped beef. And tomorrow is the day to do it. If you're going to go to Style Switch.
Tyler leaves tomorrow early. He won't get a chance to try that.
Yeah, we're going to do Tex-Mex tacos. For,
I should mention
Tyler.
we do have a live studio audience here tonight. Tyler, where are you from? Milwaukee. Home of one of my favorite filmmakers, Mark Borchardt. You ever see American movie? No. Check it out. You'll love it. It shows Milwaukee in a very unique picture.
Well, we were going to watch some Linkletter. So yesterday we went to the Texas Chili Parlor,
Okay.
which you know they filmed Grindhouse.
Yes, they did. Death
There,
Proof.
part of Grindhouse. And then today we did barbecue, and then we're going to watch Slacker, and we're going to watch Dazed and Confused. Because over by our house they have one of the old moon towers,
Oh, okay.
which
Oh, yeah.
Sean
Party.
lives right behind me in our second house behind me, and Sean is really, because I'm not here as much as Sean's really grasped onto the inner city gentrified characteristics of our neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
He'll walk out of his apartment, grab a little scooter, drive down to 6th Street or whatever,
Yeah.
go see a live hip hop concert. He's turned into a real urban Austin guy. So I want to give him a little of the background of the history of Austin in film, and Linkletter's got to be
back when Austin was awesome.
yeah. So Linkletter's got to be. So I drive around going, hey, this used to be that was never there.
Yeah, that's why I quit coming to Austin, because everything was this used to be, this used to be, this used to
Right.
be, and now it's this. I used to drive in from I went to college Sam Houston in Huntsville. I used to drive 3+ hours on the weekends to come to Austin to buy Laserdisc at Tower Records
Yeah.
down on MLK.
I used to get drunk at Lake Livingston with a bunch of students from Sam Houston.
That's what we were. That's what we were known for. All the way, baby.
Hey, let me tell you, and those girls were liberal
Nobody
with the
drinks
pussy.
like Sam Houston.
At Sam
girls
Houston.
drink. All right.
That between Texas, Southwest Texas State and Sam
Well, it
Houston.
was Southwest back then.
They threw around pussy like
We were the party.
popsicles.
You get a pussy, everybody gets a pussy. Is that how it works?
Pretty much.
Wow.
Tut, are we giving away? No. Okay. Our number one cigar of
Can't
the
give
year.
away that.
Thank you, Mike.
All right.
It is, and considering how Skip treats me, I'm very hesitant and reluctant to say this. It is the year of the Neanderthal, baby.
All right, now we're talking.
Booyah.
It's a 3-way tie.
Nice.
We give it to you, but did we take it away? Is
Nope.
that how that goes? No.
No,
Okay.
it's three-way
okay.
tie.
All right.
All
The
you
Neanderthal
way.
OM.
We did a double feature with the OM Lancero and the Genetic Deformity. We paired it with the movie The Package about the guy who gets his dick cut off.
Nice.
That's a genetic deformity.
Perfect.
Everyone. But
Perfect.
we loved detecting the differences between the OM Lancero and the genetic deformity. And then the third component came to light within the last few weeks.
The
LH. It completed the Neanderthal saga for us. It was too hard to ignore that the range that this blend was shown on our show this year. Now, granted, I broke the rules a little bit. We didn't get to feature the LH on an episode, but
So what number was this? Number 1, 1, and 1. 3 Neanderthals.
Wow.
3 Neanderthals.
So this is a probably good opportune time to say that the Tuesday Night Cigar Club
go on.
has made my list officially.
Man, those guys,
Number
they
2.
know what they're doing
In the
over
top
there.
3.
Those guys got it going on. You should check that shit out.
Listen, we have been friends with Mike and Skip for years now. We've got a lot. Your cigars have made a lot of our lists, but the weight of, like I said, the difference. Kind of sitting down and just smoking the OM and the GD back to back, and getting the spectrum from the. They all maintain that Neanderthal core.
So I'll tell you the
flavor
secret to that.
experience.
So number 1, we need our next beer, and we're going to light the Neanderthal on this great news. I actually
Celebrating, baby.
we had no idea this was coming.
We did not.
No, you did not.
Yeah.
No, you did not.
Popping
But
bottles up in this.
We're
month.
gonna do the Boston Stout from Trillium. So here's the thing: all 3 of the cigars. Well, the LH is different, but the OM. Every cigar we make in Neanderthal is the exact same proportions of filler. So the OM and the HN have the exact same proportions.
If you
of filler.
watch that episode, we mentioned that, and that's what kind of blew us away, is that from that Lancero format into the genetic deformity, because it was one of the few barber poles we featured where you could feel the intent of the barber pole.
I have
You
lobbied Skip to make the genetic deformity in the HN size.
Ooh.
Dude, holy shit. That would be like next level.
Would that be the?
Oh man.
Can we already stamp that as the TNCC?
I don't know. Could we?
Get the TNCC.
Could we launch that, dude? That would go bananas.
Fuck it.
But-
Only if you call
Fuck
it the Viso Horny.
But
The V so horny.
That's
wait.
We've already
Wait.
trademarked
Where
it.
did you?
Trademark it.
Wait.
We've already
Where
trademarked
did you
it.
get this? This is
already
our
trademarked
thing.
No.
That we stole from Tyler.
3 years ago, we
we've
did.
actually got a shirt.
3
designed
years
for it.
ago, we did an episode where we trademarked Viso Horny. Go
we
back
did
and
got a
watch
shirt
the
design.
It was our James Brown. It was our James Brown episode, and he shot.
So
he asked him
Tyler
to do it, and he shot
Tyler
us down.
convinced me yesterday that he invented that.
3 years ago, or 4 years ago, when we
Great
interviewed
minds
James
think alike,
Brown,
Tyler.
because somebody was selling a box of leaves that you could roll your own cigars with around that time,
Crab shit right there.
and
Crab as fuck.
I forget what the context was, but we asked James if he would roll a cigar for us called Viso Horny.
What movie
Tut-
would that pair with, by the way?
The Viso Horny?
Yeah,
It had to be Full Metal Jacket.
of course,
Of course.
of course. So hey, you would be the only guy who would know that. If someone would say Two Live Crew,
But, well, that's
yeah,
where a lot of guys, our generation.
exactly.
But
We could follow that up with face down, ass up. That would be great, right? 'Cause that was the next 2 Live Crew.
Face down, ass up.
that's the way we like to
That's
puff.
the way we like to tut.
That's the way we like to puff. Oh, no, now you got dancing. God damn it.
Okay, so we're doing our next beer,
Okay.
and we're doing.
I don't think we spent enough time on you guys being elated. I got Mike's excited.
I'm super happy
Okay.
about the three-way
Yay!
tie for number 1.
It's amazing.
So I'm gonna tell you,
Did you try the hot
Kate
Kate
is so focused on being on my top 10 list of top 10 lists.
Had nothing to do with it.
But you're friendly with him. You were nice to him. We just fed him,
That's true.
so we just got the number 1.
It was good.
I mean,
That
that
proves my
was
point.
that was
That proves
set
my
in
point.
stone before we
so
walked in the door.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna say it like this.
Thank you, Sean.
I worked on the Neanderthal for almost 4 years by myself.
Yeah, that's a Skip thing.
So from the day I got to the factory, it was I want to make the cigar I originally wanted to make when we made the Cro-Magnon. So when we made the Cro-Magnon, it was supposed to be the Neanderthal. The name was going to be Neanderthal, and I told Mike, this cigar is not strong enough to bear the Neanderthal name. It doesn't have enough of what I think it should have. So we gave it the Cro-Magnon, the more cultured kind of, caveman.
Finer. A little finesse.
Kind of like the caveman lawyer from Saturday Night Live.
I'm just a confused caveman lawyer.
Right. But, so, when we had the source for San Andreas, and then, that cigar has 8 tobaccos in it. And every piece has a part. And it's all wrapped around this whole Green River Sucker 1. So when we did the LH, we were getting more whole Green River Sucker 1s.
You could put a whole leaf in there.
No. So the Green River Sucker 1 comes long, but some of it's really broken, and it's not like a whole leaf. And so when you put it in, you have to devein the entire filler leaf, which is abnormal. So you really only put it in as a break. It's not part of the bunch. So so when you make the bunch and you do the tear, the Green River Sucker 1 becomes what you fill the bunch with. It actually is not part of the bunch. But when we started getting more whole pieces of Green River Sucker 1, we were setting it aside. And so I said, let's make the Green River Sucker 1 part of the bunch, and then do it a little bit underfilled so we can do the box press on it. Okay. So the only one that really departs from the formula is the LH.
And that was the one, to me, I flash back to when we first sat at TJ's, because that's when you just released the original
I remember.
Neanderthal.
Yeah, when we did the podcast from TJ's.
Yeah. And that mystique on that sucker leaf really kind of, and the 8 blend, that's a lot of different
Well, I remember at that
tobaccos
time, you guys didn't smoke a lot of stronger cigars.
No, we didn't.
Particularly Tut was like talking about Connecticut's and
Dominicans. He was
Dominicans
a Dominican guy.
Yeah, and that was that was a really full body cigar for you guys at that time. And the LH, even though a lot of people say it's not as strong as it was, it was never intended to be. It's more full flavor, because it's not more full flavor.
It brings a tear to my eye. I've smoked several in several ways. It is so strong with the spice up front. I can't remember the last time I actually teared up from my initial.
If you retro it's super.
It's super.
This is the mean
Yes.
streets.
But
to
and Tut
the Irishman.
And that's good. Very good now.
This is more mean streets.
Correct.
It's gritty. It's unrefined. There's some things in here they're like introduced into the whole scene.
Technically, this should have been the first Neanderthal, and then
It should have been.
You went weak sauce after that.
But it took me 10 years to figure out how to make this cigar.
See,
And
that's
I
what's
think-
weird is that I have a different take on it. It had a lot of power, a lot of flavor, and it's funny because when y'all go back and talk about me being a lighter smoker to what I am today, because I am just a power hound, and when everybody was talking about, oh, this is the cigar, you're gonna like it, it's gonna have a lot of strength to it, you're gonna love it. I always hear that in cigars, and I'm always let down. And then the first third was kind of lighter than what I was expecting, and then that strength and that flavor just poured on in the halfway mark. Then it's just kicked you in the face in that last third, but the palate was very light.
Are you a retrohaler?
And it's funny because you're talking about how gritty it is on the retrohale. I thought he managed to keep that strength, but to me, it was a bright, crisp retrohale.
Well, of course, it still has to be a little bit balanced. But the thing is, let me tell you. So I worked on this for 4 or 5 months. We made them. Then I went on to working on other things like the goodness and the craft, which is a lot more nuanced type things. And I got it. So when you get up to go here from Esteli, back when they had the early flights, you had to get up at like 3 in the morning, and then it's like 2.5 hours to Managua, unless you're trying to, unless you're on a suicide mission wanting to hit a cow or something. And then from there you have to go to Houston, you have to wait an hour or two, and then you have to come to Austin, right? So getting from SLE to Austin is like a whole day thing.
Right.
So when I travel, I don't go to sleep. I'll stay up all night, I'll work, and then watch some movies or do whatever, and then I'll take a shower, and pack, and then we'll get on the road. So that drive from Esteli to Managua, I always smoke something small and something light, because nicotine makes you want to shit if you don't know, especially if you haven't, you know. So if you eat something, if you eat something and then if you smoke something that has a lot of nicotine, you don't, unless you have a roll of toilet paper with you on the road, there's no place to stop between.
Cody, by the way, is king. He's known in Central Texas as always having a roll of toilet paper in his truck at all times.
In Esteli, everybody has their, unless they're a dumbass. They have baby wipes but there is no place to stop between really Esteli, a clean bathroom. So I say that to say, I lit up a Neanderthal LH. It was the only thing that I had in the glove box that I had forgotten to take out. It had been there for 2 or 3 days. It was perfectly humidified at ambient humidity, whatever it was.
62.
62.
And I had to pull over in Sebaco, which is about 40 minutes from, and I literally was nauseous. So, but like smoking it now, after barbecue and beer and bourbon and coffee, and it still stands up to all those things.
I've smoked it 3 times, each probably on different circumstances.
But if you wake up in the morning, it's 5:36 in the morning, and you just light up one of these, you're gonna fuck yourself up.
You're gonna get woozy.
And I don't care if you say it's strong or not. You do that, and you'll know.
But that's why I appreciated it the most out of the OM and the GD, is because it was giving me what I think the Neanderthal name has kind of been leading to. I thought it was kind of the end of the... You might have something else planned for next year. But I thought it was kind of like, you know what? That original, the HN, was a beautiful cigar. A really nice medley of 8 fucking different tobaccos. Who's doing that at the time? The OM, I thought, was just a really cool way of paring down, same, like you said, same blend.
Fitting all those
format.
tobaccos into a Lancero is on a difficulty, like if it's the triple Lindy, doing a 10 out of a 10.
Sure.
Filling all these tobaccos into a Lancero.
And that blew us away.
Right.
And then, like I said, the genetic deformity, where it was one of the first barber poles, aside from aesthetics, I thought I could actually get some yin and yang when the bar pole was burning down at a certain point. I could feel kind of a difference in strength wavering.
Well, speaking of that, like you just smoked the Craft, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the first ones where as it transitions on the wrapper from one to the other, because it's a really small ring gauge, you can really taste when it hits.
The Lancero is so much easier to get those transitions. But you know, we love the OM, we love the GD, but the Lord Humongous, the LH, it just blew me away, and awesome. I couldn't be. To me, we loved the Brulee. We loved.
I mean, for a sweet tip cigar, it's pretty decent.
He says it's not sweet tip. He says it's not sweet tip, baby.
Because he's one of the biggest bullshitters in the game.
But it took a lot. I guess what I'm trying to give you some praise, son of a bitch. It took a lot for us to put some. I mean, because we just drooled. I mean,
well, 3 cigars at number 1. That's like up there.
Yeah, I mean, how do they rank that on the consensus list?
Right. High five. Well done.
Yeah. We gotta get 3 spots.
So
we're pairing this, by the way, with.
Well, probably not much, because I don't think anybody else probably reviewed the OM or the GD.
No. So I'm glad you're calling it the OM instead of the H-Town, because.
It's not the H-Town.
It was part of the H-Town series, but it is the Neanderthal OM.
When we smoked it, I got it from Jorge, it was the H-Town.
Yeah, so this year, it's actually being released at Fine Ash Cigars, where Rudy works, that gave us a lot of this beer tonight. And it's going to be released in January.
Okay.
And there's going to be 500 boxes, and so it's 250 bundles-ish.
So it's still going to be a shop exclusive?
It is. Now it's a Fine Ash exclusive.
Okay.
Yeah.
They got some really cool Neanderthal T-shirts. I saw.
They do, yeah.
I thought of y'all's release.
I didn't approve of those, but
y'all party.
So we have. We're pairing this with Trilliums. This is
the
what.
Hawks D's?
The what?
The little 4x46 Hawks D's?
That's my favorite Neanderthal right now.
That's money. Right?
Oh, does that come in the?
That would be a 4-way tie.
Yeah.
Does that come in the little sampler of the? I have had it. Yeah. It's been a while.
So this is the Secret Stairs from Trillium. You want to tell us?
The Secret Stairs is just said from Trillium. It's their signature stout.
Boston Stout,
Boston Stout,
which I think is an American stout.
it is.
Yeah.
Yes. That's as their description. Roasted malt provides a nutty, earthy backdrop to bitter cocoa and little hints of caramel or caramel if you prefer. Smooth mouthfeel with a dry sensation on the finish. They had started brewing this back when they were. They're currently now out of Canton, Mass. They were from the Fort Point neighborhood in Boston when they actually started making
What's
this.
the ABV?
It's actually lighter than what we've had. This is only 6.5%.
Which is the most pussy beer
Jeez.
stout.
But it's
This is
delicious.
like the Departed of beers.
This is a breakfast stout.
In the world of Martin Scorsese, this is The Departed, or maybe even like Shadow Island or whatever that horrible movie is. Shutter Island.
Island.
There you go.
Yeah, more Departed, I think. It's because it's got a little Alec Baldwin on the finish.
You're not a Baldwin fan. He was good in The
I
Departed.
fucking love Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, and I actually like.
I love everything about him.
I love those Saturday Night Live skits.
I listen to his podcast.
He has a podcast too. Oh,
Yeah, it's great.
Everybody's got a fucking podcast.
We gotta get out of this.
I have like 40-something podcasts in my regular rotation.
Is the Tuesday Night Cigar Club in there? They will be now.
Not in my podcast.
Oh, you
They're on my
got
YouTube,
on YouTube
subscriber, yeah.
YouTube. Okay. Hey, we'll take
So
it.
I'll get a couple Modern Warfare tips.
And
Call
I
of
will
Duty.
say this to all you folks out there. I say it all the time on the show. I believe our show is best done on YouTube. Obviously, our iTunes numbers are way bigger, but we're growing. You know, I think this year alone we quadrupled our YouTube viewers.
How do you do on Podbean?
I mean, we're on there.
Do you know Do you know what the number one cigar podcast is on Podbean right now? Cigar Hustler
If this
podcast.
is a plug for Cigar Hustler.
It's the Cigar Hustler.
Well, I'm out of here.
It's the Cigar Hustler podcast.
Hey, we did his cigar this year. We paired it with Grizzly.
Oh, the War Bear.
We did the War Bear with Grizzly.
I really like that cigar.
It was good. It was very good.
The Developing Palates guys didn't like it so much,
No.
but fuck those guys.
You had to touch it up a little bit.
Except for John McTavish, who I love,
What's the other?
and Aaron. He's okay,
You know, Tut's always.
but
big.
June doesn't know shit about cigars, so
Tut's always big on cross promotion and like trying to get us to do like ingrain ourselves in some other. What's the one where they smoke them? The Blind Man's Puff. They put out a call for reviewers to join. I submitted my resume.
They put up a light that kind of beamed around the sky. And
I was like, I don't know. I've been reviewing cigars for 5 years. Blah blah blah. No.
I don't know. Based on your soapbox thing called, I got to tell you that puts you up a couple of notch. I would have never just picked that cigar up, but nothing against Ben. I just have a lot of cigars I have to smoke.
Sure. Well, no, I'm
really impressed by it.
awesome.
Well, here's the thing. Like when you go into the trade show, right? Like you always have like a list of 4 or 5 cigars that you want to try, right? So it's like,
Well, my one that I wanted to try from him was the box pressed saber-tooth looking one.
yeah.
And it was good, but this was a lot better than soapbox.
Sure. So you go into the trade show, you're like, you track them down, you smoke them. Now, most of the time, those cigars are pretty young, right?
Right.
And so you smoke them and you're like, man, it's okay, right? So, and then you got to give it a second try when you come across it in a cigar shop. Not all the times you come across those cigars in a cigar shop, which makes it really difficult. So
We probably buy more cigars from other companies than most people who review cigars.
there's a whole category.
no, there was actually when you were
We probably have 5,000 cigars from
when
other
you were
companies.
commenting. Well, you and I talked about that once because I think you and I fought each other for the most boxes of Nakatamale sold a couple years ago.
I think we bought 8 boxes.
Something like that.
That's my favorite Saka cigar.
I hoarded that cigar like nobody's business.
That's my
Like,
favorite
That
Saka cigar.
that first release was.
It didn't do much for me, but he loved it.
The
Oh, I
Muestra de Caca. That's my favorite one.
I love that original release.
Nakatamale.
Nakatamale. Oh my god.
By the way, level of difficulty, if he's not bullshitting, which I assume he's not, that's a really hard cigar to make that way.
Well, and that's another single farm cigar. Like when we're
And
talking.
it's like a Lonsdale, right?
No, it wasn't.
Or a Corona, big Corona. It's a really good cigar.
It's a great cigar. But
So are we going to talk about the movie? All these
that's
people who tune in
next,
for
my
the
friend.
Okay,
That's
all right.
next. Here's what I'm going to challenge you guys
Down to
with.
15 people watching.
As we often
Yeah, I was about to say we've already been through like 2 hours 45 minutes.
As we often do. Well,
Audience is
I
fine.
honestly don't have much to touch on this movie, but we'll explore it. While as we're at RoMa Craft, you can't fight nature, boys. I do have to take a
Tinkle?
tinkle.
Well, can we talk about Cade while
Yes.
he's in the bathroom?
Come up.
By the way, our bathroom's very well appointed.
I know where they are. Could you please come up with one more really good trivia idea for the kids at home? Are people still watching, Tut?
Nah.
Yeah. Yeah?
I got a good trivia question.
Okay.
Your number one cigar of the year, the Neanderthal LH, tied with the OM and the GD. What does the LH stand for officially?
I already said it on the show.
And
so
what
if
is
you-
the
if you've
second?
Been watching,
Hold on.
yeah.
What is the second lesser known meaning of LH?
Ooh.
And what movie does the first one come from?
What do they win, Skip?
We will give away a pair of MTX scissor cutters, my favorite.
I never used scissors before our first meeting at TJ's, and Skip looked at my cutter I was using. He's like, "You got to use scissors.
Scissors is where
The best.
Scissors are where it's at." Okay, well, I'm going to leave you guys with that trivia question. I'm trying to leave you guys with something to talk about while
Here,
I.
I'm gonna give you my back, and you can.
So
run off.
answer that in the comment section if you've previously
This guy
won.
over here doesn't have much to say. What are you thinking? What's going on in your
He's the
head?
beer guy. He
Yeah,
owns
I'm
a
the beer
bar
guy.
and
I know, but I'm just saying, like, you know.
Cody, give him a plug for the bar.
I'm giving-
Cody owns a bar in the middle of the Bible Belt.
We've been there. We
Yeah.
hung out in the patio.
Oh, that's right.
We've gotten drunk there.
Yeah,
Oh,
drunk
yes.
and smoked a lot.
Which reminds me, you really need to go out to Abilene. There's a cigar store called the Train Car.
Okay.
You guys would love it. You guys should do an episode from there. It's it's like a couple of like a caboose and a couple of box cars that they've dropped in the middle of downtown.
Yeah,
Nice.
Big Spring.
It's basically like a lounge. So
Yeah.
they have cigars in one and multiple
Dope
locations.
spot.
Yeah, it's
But it
pretty cool.
reminded me a lot of your Temple.
Oh yeah,
Big
no.
Spring.
I mean,
Yeah.
Temple is very much big. Was founded because of the train,
Yeah.
and it's
So let me ask you this question: how has the success of Baylor this last year in the football games helped your bar sales? People coming out watching the games to
I mean,
drink
if
a
Mary
beer?
Hardin Baylor did better. It would,
well. That's our number one problem where we are, is because we have more people in the area that are going to Mary Hardin Baylor,
I
which
played
is
baseball
still,
there, by the way. You know.
Yeah. Yes.
You guys speaking
But
to the
they're- I got
microphone.
kicked
But I've
out
been
by
told
the
you guys-
dean
you
of
gotta- you gotta
students.
Mary
speak-
Hardin
you
Baylor is still very strict on their
Everything.
students and alcohol.
Okay.
As compared to Baylor. Baylor has loosened up considerably because there's no way that with their football, the way it's
Well, when you're
grown in the
raping
last 5
people
years.
and drinking seems to become less of a drinking becomes less of a priority when your
Right.
football team, basketball team's raping people.
And then, of
but-
course, Waco having the boom of who are they again, Tut?
What's that?
Our favorite home fixer-upper people.
Oh, the Chip and JoJo.
Oh yeah,
Man, so I went to the OU Baylor game at the new stadium.
yeah.
And
which
I-
he mentions because OU won.
they did twice.
Did
But,
I literally leave for 2 minutes and Tut mentioned Chip and JoJo from?
I was prompted.
well, here's no. This so you had mentioned how you do not like coming to Austin because things have changed and it's no longer the Austin
Primarily,
feel.
traffic has changed. That's
Oh
my biggest,
yeah, well traffic's been that way since 2000, 1999. Like it's always going to be that way. But so I went to the game, we hung out, saved the weekend. So what kind of threw me off was everything in Waco on Sunday is closed, right?
Blue laws.
So I go to their restaurant and their little coffee shop closed, But anyways, the stadium, they did an excellent job on building that stadium. It's right on the water, right off I-35.
By the Texas Ranger Museum.
Yeah, dude.
And the Dr. Pepper Museum.
Dr. Pepper Museum, and then you can go right down the street and you can see all the woolly mammoths that they found. It's pretty cool. There's
Yeah.
a lot going on in Waco. I know it's not Temple.
I wouldn't go so far as to
I'm
say
just
there's
saying.
lots going.
Here's the thing. I was looking at the real estate.
There hasn't been shit going on in Waco since David Koresh.
I'm telling you, if you go, there's some investments
I'm
to
with
be
Skip.
made that in the next 5 to 10 years you could do really well sitting on land.
At the rate
speculation.
we're going, people who work in Austin will be commuting from Waco.
Hey, quick question. The LH original meaning,
Yeah.
is that La Toli Hominid?
No.
No. Sorry, Spencer.
Womp womp.
No. It's from a movie.
It's from a movie.
Not
Sorry to interrupt my hate on Waco.
Not the original, but the second.
Well, I would just think that Temple would actually have a lot more going on the weekends because of the success of Baylor. No,
Everything in that area, I mean, no, everything stays in Waco.
Okay, so are you the only cigar-friendly place where you can smoke in that area?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. You want to plug
I was
it?
about to say, you gotta-
should plug it right now.
Yeah, what's the name of your bar in Temple, Texas?
Yeah, go ahead.
O'Brien's Pub.
So if you want to have a cigar and have some beer, you go to O'Brien's.
Yeah.
Come to downtown historic Temple, Texas.
There you
downtown
go.
historic Temple,
yeah.
Texas.
That's what I'm saying.
over 40 beers on tap, and it. If you go out
Do you
to a
remember
nice
Do you remember a sports bar called G Willie's?
Oh.
I was
great
a
milkshakes?
I was a waiter at G Willie's.
What?
Yeah, and when I played ball in college, I was a waiter there, and we used to do the pay-per-view, the boxing matches.
Okay.
But the owner is like one of the biggest restaurateurs, Ralph
Sheffield.
Sheffield, and he's a huge anti-smoking cocksucker.
Well, he went. Hey, imagine this. He went on to be a congressman.
Right, that's when he became because he was part of the Texas Restaurants Association, and when they flipped over from being smoking to non-smoking, he became like their chief smoking, non-smoking.
He was voted by Texas Monthly as far as rating congressmen as the most useless piece of furniture in Congress.
Yeah, he was the biggest jackass, and then even became more of a bigger jackass.
But he holds the trademark on the White Wing.
Oh.
Yeah.
You cannot wrap chicken around a jalapeno and put bacon around it without paying him some money.
Oh, yes.
Was the original name later humanoid?
No,
No.
it was a character from one of the Mad Max movies.
Well, no, I thought that's the final name, Lord Humongous.
That was the first name.
So this is another name besides Lord
There's a
Humongous.
second name that is a nickname of Sean.
Oh.
So, Lord Humongous was the name originally. You know, it fits with Neanderthal.
It does.
Thematically.
He was a ball buster.
The rock and roller, the Ayatollah of rock and roller.
He was it.
And we also had a few things in there about the Berserker Gay Boys, or I don't remember the whole thing, but Sean's nickname is Lightweight Heavy.
First one to comment lightweight heavy.
So Lightweight Heavy became we really call it,
Okay.
the Neanderthal Lightweight Heavy.
That is a very good descriptive. Soaking that in for a second. Yeah,
Yeah.
that works. That
Yeah.
works a lot. Okay.
No one won that.
Which he is a fucking monster on Madden, but you don't want him on your Call of Duty team. He goes like 2-20.
I don't play,
On the
but I
regular.
watch them play,
I
and,
don't
and
play
you'll
either,
see
but-
you'll see Sean's character going
Hey.
in circles, getting shot, just fucking.
You know, my best games in Call of Duty is when I follow Sean around, let him be like the bait, and then kill whoever kills him. Because if he gets 20 deaths a game, I can get 20 kills
Oh,
a
I thought you
game.
were saying you're using Sean as a human shield. I was like,
No. I just.
He's,
Yeah.
he's the bait. He's the bait. He said Sean
While
is the
they're
bait.
shooting Sean, I shoot them.
I'm so glad I only have to worry about Tut and his Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, you're a D&D guy?
All right.
Yes.
Is that still a
Unashamed.
thing?
Oh God, Mike, not you too.
I don't play.
Okay, good.
No, I'm so I'm saying I didn't know that was still a thing.
I was about to like
It's very
spin
much
my
a thing.
chair around.
Oh, he's gonna give me the bag. Okay.
All right, do you guys want to talk about the Irishman a little bit?
Not really.
Can we talk about Necromancer and 12-sided dice?
Yes.
No. Yeah, let's talk about so all the people who tune into your podcast for the movie critique.
Well, they're gone by now.
They're gone.
Yeah.
Usually we get to this about 2 hours ago, but we are talking about The Irishman, Written by Steve Zaillian. How the hell would you say that? Zaillan.
He also did the screenplay for
Schindler's List.
Schindler's List, yeah.
Moneyball, which some consider one of
Moneyball
the
is
greatest
good.
screenplays of all time.
Good movie.
One of your favorites, Tut, American Gangster with Denzel Washington.
Okay.
And Gangs in New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another Scorsese
Dude's
flick.
got some stuff.
He's
So how did he fuck this one
He's
up?
got some credit. How the fuck did he write this
Let
thing?
me tell you, Skip.
This is so the best description I've heard. If you go to Rotten Tomatoes and you click on the negative reviews, there's a guy on some random fucking website and he says, "This movie feels like a it feels like a geriatric fart that lingers in the room for 3.5
But
hours."
let me ask you something, Skip. As a guy who gives so little credence to uneducated cigar reviewers, why would you ever go to Rotten Tomatoes and read anything these noobs and nobodies write?
Because when I come on to this show, I go and do a lot of research.
So only for us you go to Rotten Tomatoes.
That's right.
Well, I'll accept that answer.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So I watched it, completely unadulterated by all people's opinions. It was semi-entertaining.
Well, hold on. Let me set up the film real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
It's based on a book.
Upon a Time.
It's based on a book by Charles Brandt. The film is directed by Martin Scorsese. And boys, I think we can honestly say we're the only podcast to ever go. Our last episode, the movie was directed by the lead singer of Limp Bizkit. I think we're the only fuckers that could go from Fred Durst to Martin Scorsese. Before we start, what is y'all's favorite Martin Scorsese movie?
Goodfellas,
Skip, Goodfellas, Mike.
by far.
You don't know. Tut, you're supposed to know some stuff.
Artistically,
I'll
His
go
best
with
film.
I'll go with Goodfellas because, like you said, it's the one I always go back to.
Right.
I have a lot of appreciation for his other work,
Uh-huh.
except for that Shutter Island or whatever.
in terms of a
Departed
contribution,
was meh.
in terms of a contribution to the catalog of movies of all time.
Sure.
In terms of the Criterion Collection or whatever,
Gotcha.
I would say probably the boxing movie is the best.
Raging Bull.
Raging Bull.
Thank
It's
you,
probably
Tyler.
the best cinematic history movie.
Cody, what's your
But the
favorite?
most entertaining is definitely Goodfellas.
Cody, what's the Martin Scorsese movie? If someone was like, you have to watch a Martin Scorsese movie tonight, what would you put on?
Goodfellas. Because it's
Now I'm gonna be the weirdo.
It's an ensemble.
No,
It's an ensemble
As a deep
cast.
cut,
That's great.
Mean Streets.
Mine is 1985's After Hours.
I don't know if I've ever even seen that.
It's his best work. It's Griffin Dunn gets trapped in 1985 New York and a night out on the town, and it's the most surreal head fuck of a movie.
Is Henry Winkler in that?
Terry Garr.
Is he working the morgue, Henry Winkler?
no, that's a Night Shift.
That's
with
that's
Michael
Night
Caine.
Shift.
Okay.
Watch After Hours. It is.
I will watch that, I promise you.
It's a really great movie, and I thought it was Scorsese at his.
You're saying
most.
it's better than Goodfellas?
Here's the thing with.
Or are you
Good-
just trying to be fucking artsy?
I'm not being a hipster, and like I don't like what you guys like, so I'm gonna like. Fuck you, Tud. I'm not being contrary. I like Goodfellas. Goodfellas was great.
Did you like Gangs of New York?
It's okay.
Okay.
The only
I
thing,
rewatched that recently.
The only
Liked it
thing-
a lot better the second
the only
time.
thing that made
I
it
like-
work.
Oh,
is
what
that-
about the Wolf of Wall Street?
That's not Scorsese.
Yeah, it is.
I just
Yeah, it
looked.
is.
Yeah,
That is?
That's a great movie.
Ooh, that's up there with Goodfellas.
What made Gangs in New York work for me wasn't the story or the direction, which that's where you give it the nod to Scorsese. It was Daniel Day-Lewis, man. Anything the guy appears in, it's brilliant because of him.
All right. What about Casino or The Last Temptation
Casino's
of Christ?
in my top
I really
5.
like Casino. It's definitely in my top 5. I just think Goodfellas is a better ensemble, like true
Right.
ensemble cast.
Well, it flows. It flows better than Casino. It flows better. It's got a great beginning, middle, end, and it just moves.
Yeah, there's
And
there's
and
30 minutes of Casino you could completely get rid of.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like Skip said,
But-
Goodfellas is comfort food.
What about The Color of Money?
Excellent movie. Top
Right.
top
It's a good
3.
movie, right?
Top 3.
That's hard to argue. My mom's a big Paul Newman fan, so it's kind of
Well, I mean, The Hustler was better than Color of Money to
Correct.
me.
very correct.
Right, but
But it was a solid
Right.
follow-up.
okay, so here's the thing. my contention about The Irishman is this. Netflix has so much fucking cash that they have no idea how to spend it. So they have all this subscription cash flow that comes in. They have no way to spend it all. They have mountains of fucking money. It's not like a traditional
Excuse me. Studio
that has to go find funding for every film.
Well, correct, but they do lose a ton of money every year on failed original series.
But it doesn't matter
They're the
because
king of one series.
But you can't subscribe. You can't
2
subscribe.
seasons is what they normally have boiled it down to, simply for the fact that it isn't that the content of the show isn't what they're going with. Their views. Their analytics basically say people lose interest after 2 seasons.
You pay X
doesn't
amount.
matter if it's great or not.
That's right. You pay X amount of money every month. If you spend time watching this one thing, it's a success.
And what
Because you've consumed.
And what we've learned from we had the director of the #1 viewed documentary on Netflix last year on our show.
The Baki Haram
No,
guy?
it was the Abducted in Plain Sight, about the girl who was abducted by the family friend.
Okay.
And the
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, get this. She was my director. She was my cinematographer on the horror movie I made.
Okay.
So she came on for 4 hours and answered all our sadistic questions.
What a weird fucking movie.
But that was the most watched documentary on Netflix.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what we learned from her was, you literally get a rate on seconds viewed. If you tune into that thing for 10 minutes and bail, nothing. It's an accumulation kind of thing where
Right.
you're only getting paid if someone sticks. The longer they stick around, but if past the hour mark, you're actually making some money.
Okay, but here's the thing. So Scorsese shopped this movie around for like 12 or 15 years.
Nobody is financing $200 million on these fossils.
Right, except for Netflix.
Except
number
for
one.
Netflix.
Number two, Netflix released it in the theaters for the whole awards bullshit, which is
You got to get it in 20-something theaters for
which
so
is
many-
also
for so
bullshit.
many weeks.
Three, he wanted to put Pacino and De Niro and Pesci in a movie together, which again, Pacino was a horrible fucking Hoffa. So all these things around it all combines into I'm trying to check all these boxes. I got all this money. I got editorial approval. Nobody's going to cut my movie except for me. I got to put these 3 actors in, so I got to fit a guy into a role he doesn't fit into. And I have an unlimited amount of money to do all this stupid bullshit. And it completely fucked the whole movie up.
I think we'll tend to agree. Real quick, tonight's film is based on, I mentioned Charles Brandt, his novel, I Heard You Paint Houses, which is supposedly, it's a New York Times bestseller, it is supposedly the definitive work solving the disappearance and murder of Teamsters boss Jimmy Hoffa. Jimmy Hoffa!
Except it wasn't that. What it was the story of this mafia hitman and all the stuff he told this guy.
It's all based on his testimonials and case files, but here's where it gets...
He was like the Forrest Gump of the mob world. He was involved in the Lee Harvey Oswald bullshit. Okay. He was involved in the Cuban Missile Crisis, Bay of Pigs.
And we're going to jump ahead. He's very Forrest Gump-like.
JFK's assassination.
Because
JFK. He's fucked up.
Forrest Gump was a very simple man. And my biggest problem, and I'm jumping to the end of my notes here, which we usually do at this point in the night. My biggest gripe about The Irishman is the movie is called 3.5-hour movie, The Irishman, and your main fucking character is a simpleton. He's a robot drone who does whatever anybody tells him to do. He doesn't question anything. Anybody asks him what he does, he answers the truth. He doesn't say no to anybody.
Where's his accent?
He's completely personalityless. He has no charisma. He just does what he's told. And if that's your 3.5-hour movie on this dude, it's a boring fucking caricature of a boring fucking character. Not to mention the fact, I'm going to go to the front of my notes, half the movie, computers age this guy to where he looks like a video game character.
Well, but they aged the face. But you can't age the old guy kicking the shit out of somebody, right?
Exactly.
Tut's biggest gripe.
He's got the old man stance. He's like almost falling over.
Sean's agreeing. Sean's agreeing.
Or when he
No, we talked about that. Like, how do
When
you,
he beats the shit out of that shop owner for slapping his daughter, it is a young De Niro stretched out CGI face with this old De Niro body, and it's not even wrestling good kicks.
No,
like that dude is choreographing
even
those
more
kicks.
when he throws the gun into the water. Remember when he climbs down those rocks?
Yeah.
He climbs down the rocks like he's about to break a hip.
He's 80 years. De Niro's almost 80 years old, and it's like, all right, you made his face look weird and I guess young, but his body is still.
Yeah. So here's what I'll say about this movie. The most redeeming thing. This is, to me, the best work Joe Pesci has ever done.
Yes.
Probably he should be nominated, if not win, the Best Actor award.
Not as good as Lethal Weapon 2. They fuck you at the drive-thru. Come on, man, that's great.
Come on, man.
But Tut called it best. Whoever had the idea to cast him as the low-key character in this compared to Goodfellas.
Yeah, but his age was reflected.
Yeah, but just you in mobster movies, you're used to seeing him as the high-strung.
Sure.
And you think I'm funny? No.
Get your shine box.
But think about
He's
it
the
this,
Silvio in
this
this
way.
from Sopranos.
De Niro gave you De Niro. De Niro's been this character for
No,
like
De
20
Niro
fucking
didn't give you De
years.
Niro in this. He gave you nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
He just kind of slugged along with his hunched over
That's
shoulders.
what De Niro's been doing for the past 10 years. Pacino gave you Pacino. You knew he was going to be there. Pesci's the only one that actually acted.
I thought his role was pretty light.
I thought the comedian that did the
Al
gangster that got
Pacino,
whacked.
not good.
What's the Italian comedian's name?
Oh,
The gangster got whacked?
no,
the guy that got
comedian.
shot in the restaurant. The comedian.
Oh, the hot shot, the young guy.
It's not Joey Gallo.
No, it was Gallo.
No, Gallo was the guy from Boardwalk Empire.
Okay, but Skip, on your point,
Yeah,
that scene is the only scene in the movie I rewound. Because when De Niro actually walks in and takes some action, blows the bodyguard away, blows him in the head and walks out, and the guy goes through the window, that was the only... I get it, it's not Goodfellas, we're not going to get kills, that's not this world. But
Sebastian.
that was the only scene in the movie that I rewound because, like, holy shit, there was some actual, like...
No, when Pacino walked into the house and sees the plastic and stuff, and he goes, "Let's get out of here." Excuse me, I've been drinking. And he goes, "Let's get out of here." And then he turns around and he just pops him in the head.
Yeah.
That was like that too.
No, Bobby Cannavale.
Yeah, he played Gallo.
And then Ray Romano actually had good
I thought
characters.
Ray
Okay,
Romano did a
all
good
right,
job.
all right, let's just go ahead to this.
I thought Ray did a good job.
Yeah, for sure.
You're wrong. That guy does
Tut, you are 100% correct.
From my artistic side point, I would say that you're wrong because
Wait, has Mike
that
even seen
guy's
this movie?
voice
I've seen it.
cancels everything he's in.
Oh,
No.
who's that? Ray?
Yeah.
No.
no.
I never watched that stupid show he was in because of his voice. It's ingratiating. It's like a metal sponge on
You never watched Ice World or whatever it was called? What was
No.
the,
Ray Romano's in a series
was-
that's actually really good where he owns the
The minute he
You seen that one?
the minute
I haven't
he
seen that.
opens his mouth,
You just
I
sound-
hear
yeah.
Ray Romano, and it just took me out of it. The only thing that took me out of
He's great. He's great in Get Shorty too. Have you seen that?
Oh, Get Shorty, yeah.
The only thing that took me out of this movie, actor-wise,
My new friend Jeremy Piven. I don't know if you know me and Piven are friends now.
I'm super tight.
Oh, he was the big guy in the Me Too movement. He was.
I don't know about all
I don't
that.
know, but his girlfriend as a comedian is hilarious. Dude, she's fucking.
But Jeremy Piven's a big fan of Get Shorty, so
Will there be
So
a
am I.
Neanderthal JP for Jeremy Piven?
no, he likes the Ecuador, Connecticut.
I'm a big fan of PCU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like PCU.
Night when they go out in the RV. What's
Oh
it?
yeah, with
The-
Estevez.
Hey, you
Yeah.
gotta drink that.
That's even better.
The only actor that took me out of the movie more than Ray Romano because of
Wrong.
his Ray Romano
You're
voice
so wrong about that.
was Anna Paquin as De Niro's
Yeah.
daughter. Because here's a huge Hollywood movie star who has one line of dialogue, and the rest of the movie, she looked as confused as Claire Danes in Terminator 3, where she got hired the day before and like, what am I doing in a Terminator movie? Claire Danes was the whole movie was like
The whole woke discussion about women not having part in this is just a
No. That's
waste of
that's a
time.
separate issue. Casting a huge Hollywood movie star for one line of dialogue, and the rest of the time she just kind of had this bizarre like, how did I get in this movie? What am I doing in this movie? Look,
The most interesting woman in the whole.
It took me out of every scene she was in.
The most interesting woman in the whole movie is the one woman that wanted to smoke a cigarette in the car ride.
Pesci's wife.
Pesci's wife. She was hilarious.
I thought both their wives, while they had no character to them, they just wanted to smoke all the time, were really good.
Right.
Yeah, I had no problem with that.
Yeah, they were good. Otherwise, I
Well,
guess
let's talk just for a second about the aging technology, because I watched it with my wife. I turned to her 30 minutes in, and I'm like, "Is this driving you fucking crazy?"
It didn't bother me at all.
And she's like, "No, what?" And I'm like, "The fact that De Niro looks like a cartoon character, and his eyes are bluer than anyone's eyes have ever been, and they're like not correct. Like one is kind of cross-eyed, and they were like that the whole movie. He looked fake."
I don't look that close at dudes, but
Dude, Jenny was, my wife was the same as you. It doesn't bother me. Tut, meanwhile, was like, yes, he looked fake as shit half the movie.
Yeah.
He looked like a bad video game character.
it didn't bother me.
I've seen video games that have had better effects, and I know that they might not be LucasArts, but
It was
they're
ILM, man.
pretty
They do
close.
Star Wars. It was the best of the best.
That was not the Star Wars team.
Sean, did it bother you?
It bothered me because they should have cast a younger set of actors
I agree.
to play younger parts.
I agree with that.
That's a risky. That's an approach, and it's risky. If you get the wrong, but if you got $200 million, you probably could have found a young Bobby De Niro.
But when you're paying De Niro, Pacino, and Pesci $60 million, you're gonna give.
They could have knocked out of the park
I'm 16, baby.
if they used younger actors to play their
If you have
The
you have
aging technology,
ILM
I-
doing
I-
this,
I-
I expect more from ILM.
I got used to it, but only because I was forced to watch it for 3 fucking hours.
Let me put it this way:
I didn't like it.
If you think this movie is a good movie, go watch Hoffa with De Niro. I mean, with De Niro and
Nicholson,
Frank from Sunny in Philadelphia.
DeVito.
That is a much better movie.
Oh yeah. No.
I couldn't.
And Nicholson is 1,000 times better than
Agreed.
Al Pacino.
You mean Jimmy Hoffa didn't?
Jimmy Hoffa to me is Jack Nicholson in that movie.
He's not this.
No.
You cocksucker! No, he's
No.
not. Of course he's not. Nobody's like that
No.
except Al Pacino.
It was horrible.
It was. I will say this, as far as the acting goes, the main guy, Frank, who's in every scene, was boring as shit.
But it doesn't.
He was an automaton. He was a
It doesn't
robot.
bother
he
me
didn't
that-
question anything. He just did what he was told.
But he's a fucking assassin. You don't expect him to be have a lot of emotion.
But if your movie's called The Irishman and The Irishman is boring and has no personality, that's kind of a problem if you're doing a 4-hour movie.
I think that's kind of what they shot the light on.
I'm just saying, where was his accent?
Let me tell you, how do you learn fucking Italian just by serving in the military for a couple of years? And
Oh my God, he
that's
picked,
such
he picked it
bullshit.
up quick, right?
That's such bullshit.
All right. I'll tell you, I've said a lot of negative things. I'm going to say some positive things. The comedy, I wasn't expecting it. When they're busting on the big ears guy, that shit was funny.
Yeah, there's a
that
lot of-
scene where Pacino wails on the Teamster bosses and Frank the Irishman's in there. He's like, "You motherfuckers!" And Frank goes and puts on his coat. He's like, "I'm out of here." He's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like,
Right.
"You called me a motherfucker. I'm not standing for that."
That wasn't talking
I didn't see you. You were in the corner, baby. And he's like, You don't talk to me like I didn't. It was like a 2-minute scene where he's convincing
Yeah.
him I didn't see you. That was funny. That was really funny. Another thing when De Niro was explaining why his daughters like Jimmy Hoffa as opposed to all his mafia buddies, he's like, they didn't have names like the Razor or the Weasel.
But by the way,
Or
if
the Hunchback.
if you were as familiar with my kids as Jimmy Hoffa was with Frank's daughter, first of all, I would never let you anywhere near my daughter.
They were very close.
It was a very peder-ass kind of.
The way it was portrayed was a little uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Sure.
it was too familiar.
It was the ice cream, wasn't
It
it?
was a
That
little
whole
Uncle Jimmy.
that whole
versus
thread
Andy.
of your daughter hated you because you're scary to why did you kill Jimmy Hoffa? That whole thing that everybody talks about
Yeah.
had zero emotional value.
No.
Well, it did.
If I was editing and he didn't have Final Cut approval, I would have either made this into a a longer story that included the whole Lee Harvey Oswald angle that was in the book, or I would have cut probably an hour and 20 minutes out of this movie.
That's my next point. But to get to your point, yes, it was really. I get it. Their dad has no emotion, and they're around Al Pacino, it's bursting out of his seams with vibrancy, and their dad's just lumbering around with his shoulders down, killing people.
I mean, when he killed the laundromat guy, the guy who set him up on the laundromat deal.
Yeah,
that's the way I figure mob hits really happen, right?
Out in the street.
Hey, wait, boom, boom, disappear, drop the gun, whatever. It's not some big scheme.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, I shouldn't be dealing with that guy. Well, I'll go kill him.
Yeah.
The fact that is emotionalist makes it work for me.
It did, but it made him just a character that I don't really need to spend 4 hours of my life with, because he just did whatever he was told. He told the truth whenever, like, where were you last week, Frank? Blowing up laundries. Like, he had no, like...
Well, but to survive in that world, don't you have to be kind of a dumbass that just does what you're told?
Yes,
right?
But it was a 4-hour movie about a dumbass.
Because everybody else they showed, this never really went full circle for me, but like every time they showed some guy, they'd go, okay, he was shot in the head in 1979 or
Cody
whatever.
and I talked about that the whole way up here.
What was the delivery of that?
You're with Cody. See, with Cody, it was like, I wanted more, and I'm like, well,
like where did that all lead to? Like,
well, like I said, my thing is like, after watching it all, you come to the part where basically this guy had known Hoffa for years, worked with him. He had become part of the union. He was a union head. He was running one of the shops. He was doing all that, and yet they spent no more. I mean, there was. If this is going off of the book, if this is going off of his own account, he wasted no more time executing Hoffa than he did the first guy. I mean, literally, just didn't think twice about it. Well, like what Cade said, he's a robot. He just did what he was told.
But we talked on
the way up here, Yax. You were really bothered by whenever they would show a character on screen. It was like he was killed, shot in his driveway. And it's like, I have no context. Who is he? Why was he killed? For me, that was one of the few things that worked, because it just showed you these minor characters, even as minor as that guy giving him a hug who owned a furniture store, was shot 30 times in his driveway. Everyone dies in this world.
Right.
And at the end...
The guy that comes in the meeting with the shorts on?
Yeah.
That was an interesting character.
Yeah.
But then, what happened to him? I actually had to fucking go wiki, like, okay, what happened to this guy?
Yeah.
But they didn't say what happened to that guy.
But
then they had said all this shit that happened to the other guy.
Yeah, I kind of like that approach where, like, everyone who's in this world, even if they're a minor little thing, he was blasted in the face by a shotgun.
But the other guy, the guy that pissed off Jimmy Hoffa that came to the meeting in shorts late or whatever, he died of a heart attack in the 80s or something. You know what I mean?
He was a made man.
And the mob guy that actually eventually said Hoffa had to die. I don't remember his name. Frank. He was one of the big mob guys. He just died of old age.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they showed
but it would have been interesting if they would have said that.
Well, yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, they didn't give you context.
Right,
like, they didn't do it all the time.
Well, I think what all that was leading to was my biggest gripe with the film, the last 30 minutes. I think they were leading to everyone in Frank's world, the Irishman, died. He was the last man standing. But where most movies, when the story ends, that's where the character ends. Like a stupid Fast and Furious movie, when the hero saves the day, that's where the movie ends. Or Die Hard, when he kills the terrorist, that's where the movie ends. This movie's like, the movie's ended. Pesci's dead, they were in prison, all that. Let's spend another 35 fucking minutes in a nursing home.
Hold on, when you say that, when it got to that point where you think, okay, it's all wrapping up, I hit pause and I saw there was 40-something minutes left, and I'm like, what the fuck could they possibly talk about in the next 40 minutes?
There was nothing to talk about. Right. The movie was over.
Right.
But let's spend another 35 minutes with this guy into old age.
In his relationship with his daughter. Who gives a fuck?
Which was non-existent.
No, but if you think about...
I didn't really need to see him pick out his coffin. I didn't need to...
Sure. No, but I think that kind of goes into the story is still unfinished, right? Like no one really knows whatever really truly happened, right? Like there's all speculation.
Well, Mike, a lot of people have said that Mean Streets followed these guys as young gangsters. Goodfellas followed up to a time like Ralph. Or
like the changing from the
Ray
old
Liotta,
school to the new guys.
Ended it in witness protection. Casino took it another step. This is his piece de resistance, where we actually follow a gangster to the grave and the sad final days. I didn't need that.
Let me tell you what this is.
When the story ends, the character should end. I don't need to see him sitting in his nursing home for 30 minutes talking to a priest.
No.
Bullshit.
As a mobster movie, this is exactly parallels what it is as a Hollywood movie, which is it's what happens when you give a guy too much money and too much control who has a legacy, and everyone will watch it because of what it is.
Yes.
And then it just fades into the fucking...
Skip, we finally agree on
it. Fades in, it's worthless.
We finally agree
in the canon of Hollywood movies. So I just watched the other day, I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a long-ass movie. And until you get to the last 40 minutes or so, you're like, what the fuck is this? Right? But when it gets to the last 40 minutes, you're like, it wraps the whole thing up, and you're like, oh shit, this is Tarantino's.
That's Tarantino.
Charlie Manson story.
That's his MO.
Right? And it was great. And then now you can rewatch it with the ending in mind and go, oh my god, now this makes a lot more sense.
This was 35 minutes of bullshit and just me stroking my ego that I can show you a gangster taking his last breath. And I don't, they do this thing where De Niro he realizes finally he's never had a regret in his life. No remorse for all the killings. But he finally realizes, okay, there might be a heaven and hell. So I'm going to talk to a priest. I'm going to try badly to recite what the priest tells me to. And then at the end, there's this poignant thing where he asks the priest when he leaves to leave the door open of his nursing home door. I don't know if that was there's a slight hope that one of the daughters that hates him might come in, or maybe just to have a little glimpse that still I'm connected to the outside world. But my god, after 3.5 fucking hours, who gives a shit?
And the music was weak too. Everybody talked about the music.
Dude, the Robbie Robertson score was terrible. Scorsese did some really cool old school
tunes. Go
tunes.
watch Bronx Tale.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And you compare it to the score to this.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, but here's the thing. If you could name any other movie in Hollywood history that reminds you of what this movie is, what would it be? I have a perfect one that I think of. Terry Gilliam's Brazil.
Really?
Yes. It was overproduced, overly long, too much rope was given to the director. It's completely boring. But when you look at it, you go, there's some cinematic things in here that add to the canon of...
Oh, there's incredibly cinematic things going on.
Right, but you go, but no one's going to fucking... When's the last time you watched fucking Brazil? You watch it once, and then it goes into your catalog
I disagree, because when I watch a movie with incredibly cinematic things going on...
Time Bandits was more entertaining than Brazil.
I tend to hit the rewind button to that was amazing. I only hit the rewind button once on this movie. Where he kills the guy in the
that's what's weird, because as a cinematographer, or at least someone who likes to try to pretend to be one, I kind of agree with Skip here, because there's some beautifully shot movies.
I didn't see a lot of. I didn't see it. The only thing I saw that was cinematic impressive was when they were pushing the taxi cabs into the water. That was
right. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Yeah, the
Walter Mitty.
The cinematography on that movie was top notch, beautiful. I've only seen it once, and I don't care to see it.
The only thing cinematic.
But when you talk about cinematography, that's in your catalog. The only thing that this is in my catalog for is good Pesci performances.
The only
and I could go watch 30 minutes of the movie to get that.
Well, that's because you've seen everything in this before.
Yeah.
The only thing cinematic on a broad, like how they frame this and how they do this thing scale for me, I told Mike, was when they pushed the cabs into the water. That was like a big...
Yeah,
open shot and doing that. Like, all right, I'll remember them pushing those taxi cabs into the water. I don't have many moments that I want to revisit from this thing.
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up.
When they did the gimbal from the truck through the meat warehouse. That was interesting cinematically, but.
And that was kind of cool as far as the crime scene in that day and age and what you had to do to kind of with the locks on the meat trucks.
Yeah.
Technically wise, that was really cool, and that was kind of. But when the guy doing it all and making all the money looked like a fucking cartoon character,
right,
with the squirrely eyes.
But when you go back and watch Hoffa, it's night and day a better movie.
I've not seen Hoffa.
Oh fuck! It's night and day a better movie.
It's
the Jack Nicholson in Hoffa will make you even dislike the Al Pacino performance even more.
Well, you know what?
I'll go as bold as horrible as Stallone.
Stallone playing. No, I agree with that too.
He played a better Hoffa.
Sylvester Stallone played a better Hoffa.
That's the only thing I guess we haven't really touched on. Which let's just get it out there. Al Pacino really has no business visiting historical characters at this point.
No.
Because they all sound like this!
You know what? He did a really good job in the Dr. Death, the Kevorkian movie. He was so not Al Pacino.
Yeah, but this is the last movie that they played together since Heat, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think this is like the last opportunity to put them in a movie together.
Oh no, it was. This was. That
but
was
that
the
goes
whole,
back to what I was saying. It's like you add up all these check boxes that the.
But at what point?
The sum is less than the part.
But like Cody said to me on the way up here, at what point when Martin Scorsese's in the film tent watching the Monders, and Al Pacino is doing his thing, are people like, this is what you want? This is what you're doing? It's Al Pacino. Like, what am I gonna do?
Because it's so not Hoffa.
It's crazy not Hoffa. I went back and looked at a ton of Hoffa stuff. Never, dude.
He would get angry the way Nicholson would get angry. But he wouldn't get. Yeah.
And I love the character touches that had nothing to do with his performance, like sleeping, like he made the guy sleep with him, and the ice cream sundae. Like those are nice little character touches, but
creepy. But
I want crushed pecans, baby. I mean, it's just who the hell no.
But you know, I posted a thing that's like if you watch it up to this point and then you rest and then you watch it at this point, and you know how you can watch it in 4 seconds.
Oh yeah, somebody posted if you want to watch it as a mini series over a couple nights, stop at this time code.
No. The director meant it to be a one-sit deal.
We are pure.
I'm gonna call bullshit on it.
We're a purist. You need to watch it like the filmmaker wanted you to, and guess what?
Brazil
kind of sucks.
I think it's a good
right,
comparison.
Mike?
Correct.
I don't know how many people watching this podcast, still watching at this point, have seen Brazil, but clearly you have a tolerance for 4 hours of bullshit.
I
go watch Terry Gilliam's.
I think the Brazil analogy is because. I agree with you. Brazil's the movie you watch once and you never watch again. But there was so much artistry and passion on display there.
But speaking of Laserdisc that you bought at Tower Records,
I don't see.
I used to try to find all the Criterion Collection Laserdisc, and Brazil was the one that I bought that I'm like, why the fuck did I buy this?
I don't see that passion here though. Brazil had passion. This thing had.
I will say that when Brazil came out, there was nothing really like it. I mean, it was kind of groundbreaking in a lot of different ways. And yeah, it might be a boring story to where you're just kind of like, what the hell did just happen? But it's ingrained there. I mean,
but the thing about Brazil was, somebody please get this guy a fucking editor, right? That's what I'm talking about. Is Hollywood gave him too much room to do whatever the fuck he wanted to do.
We finished the phone.
We did. Was something else?
Sure.
It's like Coppola in Apocalypse Now. Like, as a film guy, I can go watch the whole version with the French plantation and the Playboy Bunny helicopter things and all that, and you go, okay, I can see why they cut all this shit out.
Yeah.
But now, kind of going and seeing it a second time, I guess I'd like to see all the extra stuff because it just adds to the thing that I already thought was good. If you'd have given me an hour and 50-minute version of this movie, and then I went and watched the 3.5-hour version, I would feel like, okay, well, I'm glad I didn't fucking, like, what a waste of fucking, the whole thing was a waste of time. I mean, look, I've seen probably in my life, I'm a movie guy. Mike's not a movie guy.
What are you drinking?
I'm drinking the Secret Stairs.
Mike has brought some new bourbons to the table. We finished the first tour of 4 bourbons.
That was a blend. So we're going on to Cream of Kentucky. This is a 12 and a half year aged bourbon.
Okay.
So
We're
this
gonna do Old
podcast, much
Fitzgerald
like the
and
Irishman,
the Michter's 10.
needs an editor.
It's a runtime.
3:30.
Yes.
Hey, that's.
Are we run out of film? Is that what you're saying?
That's our last episode. Okay. Well, I guess it's fair to say we give the Irishman
If it was a cigar,
5 thumbs sideways.
I would give it a 76.
Let me ask you this question
What'd I say,
before
77?
you give it a grade. Do you think they do a good job of giving you like a historical kind of tour of what the era was like
No.
during that time?
No.
Right, because they touch the JFK, the Cuban Missile Crisis. They touch,
No.
you know,
Well, they put the timeline in context with all of that. I was like, okay, so and to because always I do like the fact that they hit upon the JFK assassination and implying, of course, that it was done by the mob, which
Which it was. Just ask Risty. He'll tell you.
The pizza parlor was around back then. JFK went into it. It's all there.
okay.
Google it.
Let me
But,
ask you this question: what about the way that they wrapped up the way that he was killed?
That I think is more accurate than
But here's the thing.
Vito movie.
But Skip, Cody and I talked about this on the way up there because the whole movie built up to that kill scene. Yes. Okay, historically, according to Frank Sheeran's testimony, accurate. It was a 1 second kill scene.
But I think that's.
But there was
kind of cool.
But that's the way he said it
No,
happened.
but the
in
tension was building, and
Yeah,
the tension
you're
was
making-
hold on.
Yeah.
But you're making
in the movie,
a movie.
Okay, hold on. But in the movie Hoffa, and when I watched the movie Hoffa, I didn't know the story of.
Another water?
I didn't know the story of Jimmy Hoffa. At the end of it, he gets whacked, and you're like, "Why did Jimmy Hoffa get killed?" You don't have any context for that.
Oh, this gave context.
This movie gives you a lot of context
gave a
of how
huge amount of context.
how
Right.
he was connected to the mob
Correct.
Well, not only that, but like how
because of the
like,
pension fund thing,
right? And it was like, it was mine, it's mine, right? And he didn't
Right.
want to relinquish that.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, this guy's getting out of control.
But do you really
Right.
think the
Which is like the character in Casino when they whacked De Niro
It's
in
like
Casino.
Bugsy Siegel. Bugsy created Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas was his baby. Vegas is mine. The Flamingo is mine, and the mob.
It's about the Warren Beatty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so in that sense, it did give you a little more historical context on why the mob was connected to Jimmy Hoffa. Like, I didn't completely understand the whole pension plan, how that was funding mob projects, and the whole Bobby Kennedy thing I understood, but I didn't understand exactly. So in that sense...
I thought it was really cool how they kind of gave you, like, the father supported this, right? And then the new generation was
well,
like kind of...
but I thought that
right?
could have been explored more because the only time we saw the father when he was dead on a wheelchair out in the
Right.
by his pool, and it's like, oh wow, Joe Kennedy was really a kind of a puppet master through his sons and his connection to the mob. But they talked about a lot, but then they're like, but then Joe died, and
No, but the line where he says, if you can kill a president, they can kill you.
Right.
That was actually pretty...
yeah, it was a good line.
I don't know. It was worth watching. I'm glad I watched it.
I honestly picked this movie for the podcast because I knew this was the only way I would watch it.
Yeah.
It'd be on my list of things to watch. But
City Hall is much better
Mike, would
than...
you tell Skip to let the City Hall thing go to
Let the
rest?
City Hall go
If
to
you
rest.
watch City Hall and you think it is not a great movie, I will accept you not doing a podcast on City Hall. But if you watch it and go, how did I not see this movie before? Especially in the light of the recent death of Danny Aiello, who's brilliant in this movie.
He's better in Hudson Hawk.
No. You've never seen this movie.
I know he's great.
And I'm
in Hudson
telling you,
Hawk.
he's way better in this.
Have you seen Hudson Hawk?
Yes, of course.
All right.
Is that the skater?
It's
Justin,
Bruce
have you
Willis.
seen Hudson Hawk?
That's Tyler.
Tyler.
Never heard of it.
Never heard
Yeah,
of
but
How
It's
old
like
are
a
you?
musical where Bruce Willis sings and robs shit.
Would you
Yeah,
love
that's
to
gay.
But in this one,
Can I say that? I can't say
okay,
that.
look, I'm gonna tell you a scene out of City Hall.
Okay.
So in City Hall, Danny Aiello is a New York political guy, who's connected. He's like a what do they call him? Alderman, and he's connected to the mob. And at one point, so the whole movie's around one of the famous mobster's son accidentally kills a little girl in the street.
Okay.
So Al Pacino is the mayor, and he's trying to deal with all the community pressures of this little black girl getting killed by a mobster.
Tamed Pacino? At that point, he might have some nuance.
It's really good. It's really good. And Aiello is hooked up with these mob people and had convinced the city to fund this subway stop. And the mobster comes over to his house because the Danny Aiello character loves musicals like Carnival, and he comes over to his house and he comes in. And his wife says, "Hey, the refrigerator's on the fritz again," and the mob guy sits down with Danny Aiello and he basically tells him, "Hey, the gig's up." So Danny, he goes, "Yeah, but I'm not going to say anything." And he goes, "You're a singer. You've always been a singer. You like to sing." And then Danny Aiello gets in his car and he drives and he shoots himself in the head. Instead of his wife being subject, she's just worried about the refrigerator. It's so good. It's the whole disillusionment of this John Cusack character is from Louisiana, and he's the whole Huey Long politics is how you change the world. Then he gets to New York and this guy he idolizes ends up being a fraud. It's so good.
Well, Skip, we'll see how we rank on your top 20 blogs of the year.
I've already told you guys are officially on the list.
Top 5, I think you said.
No, but City Hall is what we should have done this podcast on.
I'm glad we talked about The Irishman. Unlike City Hall, everybody's talking about The Irishman. It's topical. And I think we topicaled it very well.
Well, but this is the sugar rush high generation where we talk about what's topical instead of what is substantive.
Well,
right? Tell them.
That makes sense. Real quick, we talked a lot about cigars tonight. I want to talk cigars one more time.
Can we give a plug?
Yes.
Okay.
Mike, I'm going to get plugged to the Pappy Van Winkle's Family Reserve Barrel Fermented Cigar. It's a long filler premium cigar rolled in limited quantities at La Gran Fabrica Drew Estate in Estelita, Nicaragua.
I love how you pronounce it.
Deep barrel fermentation is the key process that makes this expression vastly different from anything on the market. Boys, we've seen it in Louisiana on hand. Oh my God, it's a unique process. Hand-selected leaves from Kentucky are packed into small torquettes. That Skip and Mike, that means bundles of tobacco.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Which are then loaded strategically into oak bourbon barrels. Water is then added while immense pressure is applied to the torquettes via railroad jacks. Not car jacks, railroad jacks. My God, they press this thing down. The tobacco is removed 2 to 3 times per year, shaken out, then repacked. The guys that are involved in this process we interviewed, they've been working at this factory for years. The total process
the
of
Kool-Aid that they gave you on this tour.
Total process fermentation takes 12 to 18 months to leave the Louisiana plant, leaving a truly unique flavor profile and aroma. The Pappy Van Winkle's Family Reserve Barrel Fermented is now available at brick and mortar Drew Diplomat retailers everywhere. Before, you could only get this on the Pappy Van Winkle site. Now they're at Drew Diplomat retailers. Although they just released a pig size, and those you can still only get at the Pappy Van Winkle website.
What a shame it's midnight and all the Drew
Are you
State
saying
Diplomat stores are
that
closed.
it has Louisiana tobacco in it?
Perique?
No, it has Louisiana tobacco
The
that's brought
style.
to Louisiana.
Oh, okay. Thank you for clarifying.
Tobacco that's brought to Louisiana, made into Perique tobacco, and then shipped to Grand Fabrique.
Sounds delicious.
Perique at Grand Fabrique.
Fabrique.
It is
Fabrique.
like nothing you've ever tasted
La Chic.
before. Well, boys, do you have any? God, we drank so many beers tonight. And
We still have this
and the boys down here. Me and Mike did we did the tour of bourbon. Like you guys
Yeah,
down
assholes.
there don't know anything.
There's bottles right there. Grab some.
They're all here. They're all
As soon
here.
as I pack all this up, It's on.
I think I offered you a beverage while you were setting up, and you said no. So
Okay, by the way,
Stay
okay.
sober when I set this up.
Oh,
So
okay,
hey, I'm
that's a lot
gonna
of
say
work.
it like this. While we're packing this up and we're gonna wrap this up, we're gonna watch some City Hall. I don't know why. I mean, what is it about my opinion of things that you don't immediately go, well, if Skip loves it that much?
He is a critique.
I can't believe I've been talking about this for 3 years and he still hasn't fucking watched it.
Hey, Cade really talked about that wasabi. Have you gotten on your phone trying to order that shit up yet?
I've smoked it. I smoked it before, and it's unavailable now.
It's out there, right, Tyler?
Unlike the Fomorian that is available at retailers right now.
Well, maybe we will get to do that this St. Patty's Day.
Oh, yeah.
We're watching City Hall.
So, where do you buy your cigars locally? Is it TJ's?
Locally, we have TJ's in Temple.
Or you order through Famous?
We do have a great deal through Famous.
What's the discount on that?
Order any order over $100. Put in TNCC 20 as your promo code. You get $20 off 100. Mike, that is 20%.
Man, that is.
We also just buy cigars.
What if you were to buy? Well, you could only really buy one of the top #1 cigars of
Does
the
that
year.
apply to Davidoff and Drew Estate?
Drew Estate, yes, there's no exclusions there.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure about Davidoff. We don't
good.
smoke a lot of Davidoff.
Okay.
Skip, what was your point?
Right now, GD and LH is not available on. Well, and OM is not available through Famous though.
No, but it will be, correct?
Not.
The OM will be available through Fine Ash. And
That's
the
in
GD
Arizona.
The GD is coming out again next year.
Sometime. Hopefully in the HN size.
I actually want to say I ordered our LHs through Famous.
Yeah. They're all gone, long gone.
Yeah, no, when they first hit
This bundle that we had for tonight, I think is the last bundle.
When they first hit the Famous Smoke Shop website, I ordered them using TNCC promo code TNCC20, and I saved 20%.
So if you've learned anything in the last 4 hours,
Don't
it's
drink
how
like
to
we
save
do.
$20 on a $100 purchase,
That's good.
and to watch the brilliant City Hall.
Well, I do think that if you have other coupons through Famous, they will all stack.
Stack?
Yeah.
They stack.
No, they don't stack.
They don't
No.
stack?
No,
got
they
rid
don't
of the
stack.
Oh,
But
man, that used to be a nice little cheat
You're
code.
wise to just go TNCC.
But the word stack reminds
TNCC
reminds
20.
me of the name John Cusack,
Oh, Jesus.
who was in City Hall.
So, what was your favorite beer tonight?
Oh,
Consensus.
good question.
Do we have a
That's a great
consensus
question.
of the favorite beer?
That's a great question.
My favorite beer of the night was probably the PM Dawn.
My
The
first,
ladders. The ladders
Yes,
was my favorite.
the first beer, the PM Dawn, was my favorite as well.
I don't know. The ladder was pretty good. The secret ladders were good.
Yeah, now we're drinking Anderson Valley Bourbon
I don't
Barrel
think you
Stout.
got.
I don't think
I
anyone
really
got it.
like
you
the
gotta
whole
pass,
cigar.
Pass the Doge to the left.
I
It was
like-
good, yeah.
Yes.
But if you use my scale, there's still some of this left. The other ones are all
Pass
gone.
that for 20% off.
No, I
Oh, the other one.
Is there a RoMa Craft 20% off coupon? We should no.
We give no discounts.
If you buy $100 worth of RoMa Craft from Famous and use TNCC 20 in the checkout, you can save $20 on a box of pretty much anything we sell. Famous does. Let me tell you, man. Not all retailers say what you want to say about the big guys, and I have my own criticisms of how Santa Clara gets stuff to the stores.
This is when it gets real juicy. This is the
and,
after
and
hours
how
right here.
CI manages their
Hey,
stuff.
will you guys sponsor our after hours show like you do the?
But
you guys?
famous. If
You're on the hot seat.
If it comes in on one of our shipments, Famous has it in their stock. So if Famous doesn't have it, that means probably nobody has it. And it's not because we send a lot to Famous. It's because Jim does a great job of buying.
Well, they've been our partner now for several years, as they are our premier partner. So not just with the promo code, but we
Finish that up. Try this one.
okay.
We're still going, right?
Mike's
And
getting
I'm
drunk
glad they
tonight.
didn't all get killed with AK-47.
Good lord, that's not coming out.
But well, I guess I need to wait till Skip gets back to.
This
sign
is
us
the
in.
Old Fitz Gerald, 13 year.
This is. Is this what did I have before this?
You had the Cream of Kentucky. That was a 12 year.
I like that one a lot.
pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
$135 a bottle. This is $200.
Oh,
Exactly.
Tut, give us some links.
What you got?
Well, my first link is #assholes for not passing the bourbon down here. But if you want to join us on YouTube, subscribe to us, Tuesday Night Cigar Club. That's the way we kind of prefer you to watch us. But if you want to download us on iTunes or any other podcast stuff, Tuesday Night Cigar Club. Join us up on Facebook, Tuesday Night Cigar Club. Hit us on Twitter at TNCC Cast. Go see Matt's beautiful photos on Instagram, TNCC_podcast. Did I forget anything? By the way, it's Christmas time, and if you're going to do some shopping,
There you
go to
go.
the Tuesday Night
forgetting the big- you actually forgot the
TuesdayNightCigarClub.com
biggest
website. Click on the Amazon banner and do your shopping from there. Helps us keep the lights on. Doesn't cost you anything.
You go to our website, you click on the Amazon, then you do your shopping. We actually get a little bit of support through there. Good job, Ted.
Yay!
Well, I'm gonna let Skip get back till we sign off. That
Fuck Skip.
seems like the. But Mike has
Generously poured.
generously poured a tour of.
What would you like to try? Tyler, will you get him a glass, please? What would you
Two,
like?
please.
Two, please. 2 glasses. Yeah, they're like, man, why
There
are we
you go.
drinking this fucking shitty ass beer when we can?
the Japanese.
You pick.
I thought you liked the
Or no, it was the one after the Japanese.
the gold.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike, you pick.
Look, as incoherent as this sounds right now on this podcast,
With your hiccups.
the hour of missing content from the drunk podcast was far more incoherent.
Listen, this is now a record. 2 podcasts that I've done at RoMa Craft where I maintain my dignity.
Out of 3.
Yeah.
And the third one is forever
Lost to the archives.
lost to the archive.
So,
Cody,
where's your favorite offsite location? Is it here? It's got to be here. Like when you do offsite.
Oh, there's no question.
Yeah.
Unless it's downtown Temple, Texas, O'Brien's Pub.
Oh yeah, that's a great place.
Or a barn smoker.
or the Barn Smokers.
Cheers, guys.
No, we always love our time with you boys, and thank you so much for entertaining
Is that why we made
us.
your number one? Because
Thank you also for giving away some sweet RoMa Craft
Oh
swag.
yeah, well we got. Did anybody win the scissors?
Did anybody win the scissors?
Which one was that?
That was the third one. So the first one was the hat, the weasel, black
Then
on
the
black
growler.
weasel, then the growler, and then the scissors.
So the 62% went to Randy.
Yeah.
The Lord, did anyone win the Lord Humongous?
No, because everybody came in after you already said it.
Oh, okay. Well, the first one, I guess, still wins.
All right, we go look.
There we
back
go.
through there.
Thank you, Sean.
For the scissors,
pouring-
we'll have to actually look back because there was a couple people that named like one cigar of the top 3, but nobody got all 3.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sean, for pouring that amazing first drink. Man, that was artistry.
Yeah.
He takes a lot of pride in that.
Dude,
That's-
Sean is the hitman. You got to watch out for
we
Sean.
get
So
we
good.
get a lot.
So good.
We get way more visitors here than
Oh,
you
yeah.
would think.
Yeah.
People that just come into town and then come here and hang out and
No,
drink
I see
beer
things
and-
on Facebook. I'm like, how they let those guys in?
We had the Texas the Texas Ranger guy, the TTB enforcer, who could not believe that we don't sell beer. He's like, "Do you guys have a liquor license?" Like, no. It's like, well, what's going on here? It's like, well, that's just ours. It's like, you have all this beer and liquor
Yes.
just for your office. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
You don't.
Yes.
Have you ever seen Mad Men? That's us.
You don't sell it. No.
Well, thank you guys for always being so hospitable to us.
Well, I'm gonna queue up City Hall.
It was
We're gonna
fun.
clean this up.
Oh God. Hey, it's a penance I think we need to pay. I guess.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, you're probably pretty cross-eyed right about now, anyways,
we
right?
got to get out of here before he starts this thing.
What else you gotta say?
Mike, you're the most reasoned voice of the RoMa Craft family. Thank you so much
My pleasure. Thanks for coming out, guys. Hope you
for
enjoyed it.
bringing these beautiful bourbons to my lips.
I'm just saying, we have a party on the 1st, January 1st. We're going to bring in 2020 on a whole... I'm going to open up all the BTAG stuff I have, which is like... I have everything but the Eagle Rare 17. So that's the William LaRue Weller. We're gonna do George C. Stagg, Handy, Sazerac.
We're invited, baby.
You are
We're invited, baby.
So bring it.
And then in May we have our 10th anniversary.
In May, we're gonna have the 10th anniversary, which is where we're going to. We don't really have the details. What's the details on that? We're gonna give away, or no? You buy a ticket and you get a.
We'll get a lot of shit. But
Get a
we
lot of
haven't-
shit.
Yeah.
Get a lot of shit.
Well, you guys are just the best hosts, and
Austin, Texas, motherfucker.
hey, man, #1 TNCC Cigar of the Year, Neanderthal LH OMGD.
What
That's it, baby.
This opening
All out the ass.
So for the last person who's
opening
watching,
montage.
Tyler, we appreciate you, Sean.
Sean,
Everybody.
Tyler, everybody, baby.
If you have a friend,
You boys
have
ready?
a vote.
Yes.
May the wings of liberty never lose a feather.
Sayonara, motherfuckers.
From all of us here at the Tuesday Night Cigar Club, we thank you for all your support over the last year from the very bottom of our drunken hearts. And we wish you and yours very happy holidays. See you in 2020, you filthy animals. To learn more about the cigars enjoyed on tonight's episode, you can visit RoMaCraftTobac.com. For more on O'Brien's Irish Pub, the live music leader in Central Texas, please visit o'brienstemple.com and download their free smartphone app, where you'll find full beer listings including over 40 on tap, menu information, and a calendar of upcoming live events. To listen and purchase music heard on tonight's program, check out www.fritzbeermusic.com. Thank you for listening to the Tuesday Night Cigar Club podcast. This is Keith A. Howell saying until next time, friends, unless we see you sooner at the pub. So keep it smoky, and for God's sake, keep it ballsy as well.